vanished without. The history books, they tell of their defeat in 45. They all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. They say the prisoner of Spandau was a symbol of defeat. Whilst Hess remained in prison, then the fascists they would beat. So the promise of an Aryan world would never materialize. So why did they all come out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died? The world is riddled with maggots. The maggots are getting fat. They're making a tasty meal of all the bosses and bureaucrats. They're taking over the boardrooms and they're fat and full of pride. And they all came out of the woodwork on the day the Nazi died. So if you meet with these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them that the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. And we'll never rest again until every Nazi dies.
Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Woke up one morning and there were soldiers. The invasion had begun. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. Oh, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Lend me your shoulder, we'll stand together. But I feel my time has come, and if I die here for the resistance, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. And if I die here for the resistance, you must lay me in my grave among the flowers upon the mountain. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Among the flowers upon the mountain, let me rest among the brave. Someday the people will pick the flowers. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Someday the people will pick the flowers, and they will remember my name. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty. This is the flower of the resistance, and those who died for liberty.
From all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
They say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Hello there, my tiny monkeys. How are we all? I'm very well. Thank you for asking. How are we getting on this fine Monday? Hopefully you're doing well. We have got the King, the unelected Prime Minister, in his first sit-down interview. It's only been 10 fucking days. But we've also got Poshbird, so, you know, swings and roundabouts. Is it? It is Monday. Yeah, it is Monday. Don't make me question my days of the week. I'm already grasping tenuously to reality as it is. At least let me know what day I can't fucking get through. Jesus. Although at least the weather is a tad more civilised now, which is nice. But what's not civilised is Discord interrupting me with noises, you fucking little prick. Go on, get up, yeah. Right. Thank you to... Oh, very generous. Thank you, Katie Marshall. Everyone go and follow Katie Marshall, by the way, who does good streamage. Also Mad Cat Scotty Eye on Twitch for 10 gifties on YouTube. Much love. And thank you Carl Brown with a gifty as well. I will happily avenge either or both of your deaths. Or neither, if neither of you die, of course, which would be, you know, preferable. But if anyone does, let's say, Widdicombe you, I will seek justice on your behalf. Through quote-unquote irregular channels. Oh, pardon me. Right. Shall we rustle us up a cheeky posh bird? I think we should. I don't know why it's making a series of strange noises. That's unnecessary. Yes. Kev, your Shatner's bassoon is massive. I don't even have it plugged in. So few actually fucking work on the soundboard that I haven't even got it plugged in. It's like 5 buttons out of 40 or whatever. Well, to be fair, I didn't use that many of them anyway, but all of the ones I did use outside of no don't work. Oh, Nerd worked, I guess. Yeah. Do you know Mad Cat's Discord handle, since I'm implementing a VIP thing there and they seem like a good candidate? Yes, they are. Hang on. What are they again? Numpty Woman is their handle on Discord. Because they have the same attitude towards branding that I do. Which is, fuck it. People can remember 12 different names, it's fine. Can't be bothered otherwise, you know. Yes, the weather has cooled off ever so slightly. Albeit that not in France, obviously. Much love to the people of southern France particularly, I think, which are suffering with wildfires right now. There's some in Spain as well. Stay safe, people, to the best of your ability to do so. Very unpleasant scenes. Apocalyptic.
Oi, oi.
Hello, hello, hello. How are we all?
I'm not doing too bad. I think I'm coming through your camera mic again, or is it...
Oh, am I? Okay, hang on. Let's have a cheeky...
Oh no, maybe it is the correct mic.
Yeah, I'm just it's poor quality if nothing else. Hang on.
Okay, no, I think
I'll
it's
show you
just,
this.
I think it's just Google loading itself and
Okay.
being tinny at the start.
Look, this is the camera mic.
Okay. Actually, it doesn't even sound that different.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, why fucking bother then, chat? Is what I say. Anyway.
I mean, sorry, like we were just talking about cheaper prices for people on Universal Credit.
Okay.
With people in chat, 'cause some people getting mad about it on Twitter. Like again, they don't seem to get mad about cheaper prices for the disabled or cheaper prices for children, but somehow for poor people, that's a problem. You know, but I mean, like, there's literally somebody in chat going, "Yeah, they'll say free for those arriving on small boats," which is basically like the end point of the discourse.
Yeah, no, actually, no, you know what? We should give money to people who arrive on boats just to annoy you sanctimonious cunts. That's what I say. Fuck it. No, fuck them. It doesn't matter what happens. Other than mincing down brown people who want to escape war, nothing will satisfy them. So fuck them.
Yeah, well, it's literally like there was a discussion like Jeremy Vinyl things about like, you know, painting workshops for people who were seeking asylum, and I was just like, that sounds very nice and kind.
Yeah, like literally.
I mean, we're literally in the world where somebody painted over a Mickey Mouse because it might make refugees happy.
Yeah, exactly. It might make one child refugee not commit suicide. So fuck it. Because that's ultimately that's what they want.
Taking asylum, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're still kids.
Well, exactly. And not just that, but like, I genuinely, I don't know how to explain to people. You know how inhuman it sounds that you want to just make generally people's lives worse.
Yeah.
You're a fucking monster. I don't know how to explain that to them other than screaming. Frankly, like, it's just so frustrating to me.
Oh, except they're just like moral fucking dead-ended individuals, right?
Yeah. Like, and not just that, but to go back to the point you were making about the cheaper prices for poor people, it's because they've imbibed this neoliberal shit. Well, it's not even neoliberal; it existed long before neoliberalism. This idea of the deserving and undeserving. So, if you're poor, it's because you've chosen poorly.
Well, that's it. It's actually kind of pre-neoliberal, as you say,
Yeah.
like it's Protestant work ethic stuff. Because I was pointing out to chat, unironically, cheaper prices for people with less money is quite literally neoliberalism. It's free market fundamentalism. It's dynamic pricing, right? Like, it is specifically an avenue of revenue maximization, because if you charge people on Universal Credit the same amount, you will have 0 people on Universal Credit buying your thing, right?
Yeah.
Your choice is sell it at £30 and 0 people buy it, or sell it at £5 and some people in Universal Credit will be able to buy it, and therefore you revenue maximize.
Yes, rev maxing. Yes,
Indeed, so.
Yeah.
Is that what the church are going to call themselves then now? On their drive for recruitment?
Yes, they're going to get Buddy Christ for real, and they're going to do rev maxing and you just got Christ mugged. Yeah. Anyway, Jesus Christ, quite literally.
You're going to replace the holy water with like holy. What was the KSI energy drink called?
I can't remember, but I'm just going to go and say Huel because it sounds bad. I don't know though what it was called.
The Hewley water.
Hewley water. Fuck yes. Let's go. Anyway, was it Prime? Was that the stuff? Okay.
Prime, yeah, Holy Prime.
Holy Prime. Yes, that works. That's fine. My Christazole levels are peaking. I'm gonna just stop now. Honestly, I haven't felt this bad since that time I went to Somerset and did nothing. I didn't do anything whilst I was there. It was fine.
Why?
That's a reference to something that happened in the news that I didn't have anything to do with.
Oh
That's
yeah.
all I'm saying.
Okay.
I was just on holiday. Stuff happened at the same time. Coincidence, you know. Anyway, well, speaking of making jokes about violence or whatever, did you see before we get on to Prime Minister? Did you see that the free speech warriors now want to have Zach Polanski arrested for posting a thing?
Oh, ironically, he didn't post anything. Somebody else posted an album of photos, which were of, I think, Green Party supporters or whatever, like a whole album on Instagram, offered Zach Polanski a collaboration for it, which Zach Polanski then accepted, which included a picture somewhere within that photo album of someone wearing a t-shirt with a guillotine on it and a quote from the song by XTC, we're only making plans for Nigel.
Yes. Which is a spicy shirt, to be sure. But yeah, now they want Zach Polanski arrested for incitement to violence.
And I'm pretty sure that even if you could prove that it was incitement to violence, I don't think it is, but it's in poor taste after Anne Widdecombe was hit with a hammer 21 times in the head. But
Not
even
by,
so,
by
I
some-
don't think that.
by someone who isn't me. Just to clarify.
But I don't think that you can be sentenced under the Communications Act for collaborating on somebody else's post. I think you actually have to be the person who posts it, or indeed, in this case, the person wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah, basically, I think it is the person wearing the T-shirt, surely. Unless you specifically write as part of the thing, I totally 100% agree with this T-shirt and its implications, or something ridiculous. Like it would be the
Yeah.
person wearing the T-shirt, or possibly even the person who made the T-shirt, whatever. But yeah, realistically, the idea that Zach Polanski has committed a crime here is fucking ludicrous, and of course is just the same victim playing narrative bullshit that all of these cunts do, even though they are the ones who quite literally want to murder people.
I mean, on top of this as well, like they brought out Lucy Connolly at their party conference. They brought out the woman who went to prison for inspiring violence, potential incitement to violence, in terms of a post where she suggested people should burn down hotels full of asylum seekers, right? Like,
Yeah.
and not just a playful joke on a comedy T-shirt, right? Like, she was spitting venom, admitted as such that she was upset, and said, "Burn down the hotels for all I care," and then the hotels got burnt down, right? Like, I don't think you can really complain about the charges of incitement in that case. Whereas I think that unless someone is actively trying to guillotine Nigel Farage, of which we do not have any evidence that that is the case at all, I don't think you can really call being tagged in somebody else's Instagram post as incitement.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. But I suppose anything to distract from £5 million of crypto donations, I guess.
Which is why it's such a kind of foot in mouth moment, right? It's why it's a huge misstep in terms of Zach, because again, like the party's currently floundering, and you're giving them literally anything with which that they can talk about to make people ignore the whole £5 million bung thing.
Yeah.
And
Well-
again, like it all flies in the face of their perceived belief in free speech, how they've treated Lucy Connolly. But again, like regardless of whether or not that we think we're in the right, there will be certain people who will get put off by this. Certain, people who are optics poisoned will look at the T-shirt and go, "I can't vote for Zach Polanski now because of how much he disrespected Anne Widdecombe." Like, it's not good. It's not optics. And I will, of course, say that just like we did last time with the retweet, whether or not we believe in the sanctity of free speech, or whether or not we believe that Zach Polanski was correct or not in his retweets or in accepting the collaboration, this is politics. It's not about being correct. It's about having the right position at the right time and winning people's
True,
hearts
but
and minds. And this might not do that.
I do have to say, anyone who would look at this and say, "I'm now not voting for Zach Polanski," was never going to. I don't think. I don't realistically think anyone who was open to the idea of voting for Zach Polanski, seeing this and going, "No, I won't," was genuine. I think they're essentially briefcase twats who want to pretend to be without ideology whilst being very, very full of ideology.
That's true. And on top of this, like, I don't think that anyone who would get put off by him posting this wasn't already put off by the retweet during the Golders Green incident, right? Like, that was significantly more less directed.
Yeah.
It's a significantly less directed misstep insofar as it was taken badly by people just because they reacted to
And it was a
the
thing.
violence they were seeing rather than it being politically motivated,
And it was a thing he actually said, which at least
Yeah.
is something you can hold him accountable for, even if
I think-
people did go
to be
too
fair-
far with it,
To be fair, he didn't even say that either. It was a retweet of somebody else's post.
Okay, but something he actively did then, let's say, rather than
Yeah,
being a
for
sort
sure,
of
sure.
passive participant in somebody else's event, which was a picture of somebody at a third party.
That's
so
true.
it's so unbelievably tenuous that anyone who uses this as an excuse is doing precisely that. They were looking for an excuse and they found one. Ridiculous.
That's true. And on top of this as well, like, the person who tweeted out in response to Golders Green was saying a genuine opinion, right? They were acting with disgust at the actions of the police. And again, like, I believe in the Pelian principles. I do think that, we should always be able to criticize the operational nature of the police, but people are always going to react badly to that genuinely held concern that not many people shared at the time. Whereas again, what we're discussing here is not either of those things. We're discussing a fucking joke t-shirt.
But true to form, all cops are bastards because they are investigating. So.
They are investigating. They're also potentially charging people who threw paint at Barclays as terrorists.
Yep. Also given a 14-month, admittedly suspended sentence, but still a 14-month sentence for someone for climbing a building.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the level to which the people are now abusing the label of terrorists, essentially to be able to lock up people that they don't like as somehow people who are beyond polite society. Because you see, Lord Wolney is saying that the pro-trans group Bashback should also be prescribed as a terrorist organization. That we're literally Marco Rubio NSPM level, NSPM 7 levels of weaponization of the designation of terrorism to purge people from polite society who the government doesn't like, right? Like, people talk about how the Shabbanopticon is going to be used by a future reform government. I'm like, mate, we're already in the authoritarian hellscape. Labour are the problem here.
Literally, I mean, this is a slightly different point, but along the same lines. Firstly, condolences to those who died in Berlin over the weekend during the terrorist incident involved in the Pride Parade and all the rest of it. Well, not condolences to the cunt who did it, who quite frankly got what he deserved, but a lot of right-wingers taking glee in the fact that queer people were murdered have been going on about how, oh, well, you got in bed with the Islamists and you did this and you... Firstly, that's not true. And secondly, we don't have to wait for an Islamic state to start having queer rights taken away from us. We don't live in an Islamic state, and yet we have slipped down to 27th in terms of queer rights. We're now on a par with most former Soviet bloc countries in terms of queer rights here in Britain.
And you look at the United States, where ostensibly it's a Christian government, right?
Yep.
And they're literally like treating the existence of queer people as terrorism. That is what NSPM 7 basically implies. Like, that people who take like radical views on gender, on anti-American views on gender, are terrorists and should be treated as such. That's the official American government position. The idea that it was necessary to get in bed with the Islamists is nonsense. And again, it's worth pointing out too that any claims of getting in bed with the Islamists are just like totally not true.
Yeah.
Because people think that Islamism is just like people who are Muslim have political opinions, rather than what it actually is, which is Islam becoming a political vehicle, right? That's what Islamism is. That's the kind of the broader definition of it, and that exists very rarely. If there was an Islamist party, they would not be getting into bed with what had previously been the vehicle for most Muslims in politics, which was the Labour Party, an incredibly socially progressive party up until Keir Starmer became the leader of it, or the Green Party, which is currently a very progressive political party. If they were interested in political Islam, they would not be getting into bed with a party led by a gay Jew.
Very much so, yes. But again, it's just brown people having opinions equals Islamism or something.
100%.
Yeah.
And also on top of this, like,
and also,
also
just on the point of the right wing taking glee in it as well. It's interesting, and if they stop for a second to analyse this, the glee with which they will revel in the murder of queer people, does that not put you on a par with the kind of way in which Islamists think about gay people, lads?
Well, yeah, they're Yol Qaeda, right? That's what they are. And at the end of the day, like that, what they're also doing is saying, well, how this shows you why Queers for Planet. Sorry, let me restart that one. They're also doing this thing where they say, the Berlin Pride attack shows that Queers for Palestine were always fucking idiots. And I'm just like, well, first of all, you can advocate for somebody else's rights even if they wouldn't advocate for yours. But again, all politics is transactional to right wingers. And second of all, this implies that the Palestinian cause is an Islamist one. It isn't, right? It's a nationalist one. It is specifically nationalist. Again, like they've imbibed so much fucking dumb fuck media groupthink that somehow Hamas are, or even like the PLO were motivated by Islam. When the PLO was led by a Palestinian Christian for a very, very long time, they're explicitly secular organization, and the main thrust of Palestinian emancipationary discourse is about the national politics of Palestine rather than anything to do with the religion of Islam. But again, they see Muslims doing a thing because Hamas are Muslims and they do have Islamic beliefs and think that the only motivation is their Islamic belief. It's why they claim that Zohran Mamdani is doing taqiyya by being anti-Israel or by all the things that he does as a democratic socialist, right? Again, it's myopia born out of the idea that they don't think that Muslims can participate in politics without doing it in service of implementing Sharia law.
Which is interesting because drinking tequila is against Sharia law. I did a joke, tequila, because it's the righteous lying. Yeah, I'm very clever, chat. I'm very, very clever. And you should give me money for that, as indeed Katie Marshall did. Thank you. I'll look into getting that soundboard. Oh yeah, my soundboard broke, so I have to get new. Well, not broke, but just the files are fucked. So I'm going to wipe it clean and do a new one. And thank you, Seamstress Dragon, for resubscribing. 29 months on the YouTubes. You can give us both money in the form of bits and subs and all of that jazz. Yeah, all of those things. The things you know what to do and that. So, shall we get on with the totally righteous and not unelected piece of shit Andy Burnham and his number 10 up north?
Let's have a listen, because there are some things that are said here that I would like to respond to. Literally.
So, Panorama used to be a good investigative journalism show. Now it's got an episode hosted by Laura Koonsberg.
Woo.
Yippity fucking doodah.
Hi, Laura.
Hiya, what took you so long?
Oh, like to make an entrance.
The duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Andy Burnham's on stage at the moment. He's just been named as a leader, but I've got a whisper.
You haven't. You really haven't. If we can hear them clapping through the doors, they will not be able to hear you talking at a normal level. It's fine. You're not at the green at fucking Wentworth where you're going to put someone off from putting. Just like, what the fuck? We can hear.
Because we're actually just right backstage.
Ushered in by Labour and elected by the wider public. Come with me. We've been up close with the new Prime Minister.
Now, I presume because the BBC is impartial, she will continue her tradition of giving the sitting Prime Minister access to the questions she's going to ask prior to the interview taking place. Yes?
True.
Accidentally, of course, because you wouldn't want to be perceived as biased in any way whatsoever, No. Good journalist.
In his first week in power, able at last to question his plans for home and abroad.
Okay.
Hi. I think we're going to have a wee chat.
I do feel ready. I do feel that this is the moment.
So Andy Burnham hasn't.
Why was he being interviewed against the wall like it was a post-match press conference for a footballer?
If I speak, there'll be big trouble.
Yeah, the boys done well today. Yeah, now we put in a real shift and it's a great 3 points. Like
elected by the whole country.
I'm the 7th Prime Minister in 10 years, just over. That's not good enough.
But yet he's saying.
How many years do we have to go back before then to get to 7 different Prime Ministers?
It's the 1920s, basically. I think last time there was a real an economic upheaval.
Well, no, I mean I didn't mean like that many in the short space of time. I mean like if you go back from 2015 or whatever, 2016 Brexit, right, with Cameron, to what year would you have to go back to? You've got Brown, Blair, Major, Thatcher. That's only 4, and that goes back to the 70s.
Yeah, and then Callaghan, Wilson, Heath.
But then you've got Wilson before then. So
yeah.
In order to get to an 8th different Prime Minister, you have to go back to 1964.
Yeah, for Douglas Home, right?
Fucking Christ almighty.
That's what I was... On the subject of random prime ministers, like for some reason on my TikTok feed threw me up a video of the prime ministers of the UK since 1900 as in Bettina's quotes, and it just got up to
hang on, time out. The algorithm knows you well, I think.
It really does. It really does. But they got to Anthony Eden, and it just got the quote of the French guy going, "Je n'aime pas les Arabes," and I literally lost my shit. That was Anthony Eden's politics.
It's a pretty deep cut. That's nice. That's nice. What was did we get to either Burnham or I suppose yesterday's man, the briefcase himself? What would the in betweener quote be for him?
I forget what it was now. I do forget what it was.
It would be for me just for the Mandelson bit. Try not to rape anyone on the way out.
The Liz Truss one was Will going, "Stop burning my things."
That's fair. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah, Rishi Sunak was, "Ooh, I've got a trust fund."
Yes. Love it.
His time in office represents the biggest change to the UK in 4 decades.
What a welcome.
That's a huge statement to make. Do you rule out having a general election before 2029?
Well, I'm going to rule it out. Yeah, there's no early general election. I don't think people want it.
We're here to do Andy Burnham's first big interview as Prime Minister.
I won't change coming into this job.
Honestly,
we know a lot
actually,
about what
it's
Andy
worth
Burnham...
pointing out. Like, it's actually genuine 100% true. People just do not want an early election other than like reform headbangers, right? People are sick of elections. Like, you're joking, not another one. And like in general, I think Andy Burnham has huge amounts of personal, I guess, the people are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he did what everyone wanted, which is told Keir Starmer to fuck off.
Yeah, I think people are actually quite relieved to just not have Keir Starmer anymore.
Literally.
They're fine with it. They're like, give this guy a chance because, like, at least he's not that prick.
He literally cannot be any worse. It was impossible to surely be worse.
Hold that thought.
Believes as he moves into Downing Street, where there are a lot of blanks, is how he might actually apply those beliefs to the.
Well, it is funny to me that he literally spoke. Well, actually, I suppose technically this interview happened before, but in terms of broadcast media, he spoke to Volodymyr Zelensky before he spoke to the nation, which is a bit of a piss take in a sense. But like, I mean, does doing TikToks count as addressing the country? Maybe.
True. I mean, it is interesting watching the Westminster journalists absolutely fucking piss and moan and shit the bed over the fact that Andy Burnham hasn't like treated them as some long lost friend who he wants to reconcile with, and has just spoken in situations that he wants to speak in and you know, on social media and doing his own thing. And I'm just like, yeah, it turns out you're not the fucking the politician whisperers. Like, you're not there just to get the Westminster fucking tittle tattle. Like especially given the last month has been them briefing out cabinet positions that Andy Burnham then didn't appoint.
Yeah.
Just pretending they had the inside scoop when they knew fuck all.
Yeah. Kev, do you know if MPs will get a second home allowance for properties near this new number 10? I presume not. No. Although we'll get on to the new number 10 thing in a second, I suppose.
Huge specific decisions that he's got to make on all our behalfs. Monday morning, and there's something quite familiar about being on the way to Downing Street to see one Prime Minister leave and another one walk in.
I do feel slightly sorry for foreigners trying to keep up with it. Like, if you ask people who like the Prime Minister of a certain country is, usually you would have been able to say who the British one was, but there probably are some foreign people who still think it's like Boris Johnson or something.
Yeah, there almost certainly must be people who still think it's Boris Johnson.
Because like, he was famous and was there for a bit and did win an election. And there's been like several since. I would imagine that the name recognition of the current incumbent British Prime Minister is not very good outside of, well, Manchester, but especially outside of Britain. Yeah, not a well-known human.
And also, like, that will only stand him in good stead, I think, with the nation. Like, so people, I think, really genuinely have been sick of outward-facing politicians and wants someone inward-facing for once, which is hilarious because all the Starmerites are mad because they don't think that Andy Burnham will be able to represent us on the international stage because he's too busy caring about buses. And I'm like, oh, it's like actual, like the people in the country who don't care about the international stage and care about the buses.
Yeah, yeah. Although, interestingly, Vladimir Zelensky, in a bizarre turn of events, it's not a British Prime Minister going to Ukraine to avoid internal problems, but a Ukrainian coming to Britain to avoid internal problems. Which
because no one's looking, are they?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and for anyone not been keeping up, there have been massive fucking protests in Ukraine over the dismissal and then possibly rehiring of the defence minister, and it's a whole shtick. Yes, I genuinely think he's just going to do essentially a holding pattern on foreign policy, where essentially nothing will change. He's just going to go, okay, whatever the thing was, we're just going to keep doing that because that wasn't the reason that he was unpopular. Except, of course, in Palestine, where it kind of was a bit. But he's just going to carry on doing that anyway because you wouldn't want to be anti-Semitic or anything, you know.
Andy Burnham's got his Starmer out. What he hasn't done yet is answer huge questions about how he'd run the economy. How's he going to deal with the relationship with Donald Trump? There's so much we don't know. We know what he believes, but we don't know what he'll decide.
Went to the palace.
Do we know what he believes? Because he said some very contradictory things. Oh, I support this. Oh, no, I don't. Now I have to implement it. No, I don't.
Yeah, literally half the time in it.
It's around midday, and then things came at me pretty quickly.
We're actually inside Downing Street, just outside the cabinet room. Andy Burnham is just on his way from Buckingham Palace here to Downing Street. He's going to walk in a few minutes as Prime Minister for the first time. Staff are rushing around getting everything ready.
Well, we can do if you want, yeah.
Can't be off this fucking...
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
He's going to run the country, and we're about to do his first big interview, of course, in Number 10 North. Prime Minister, you're...
Yes, so we should say Number 10... Number 10 North, as I think you're officially supposed to pronounce it, is literally this building here. You can see them in. If that's the official thing, it's got the Number 10 logo, and you can tell that because it's got the official slanty 0 that's on the door of Number 10 Downing Street. And they've literally reproduced the front door of Downing Street. So when you enter it, you go through a fake version of the real door. It's a whole thing. Now, I like the concept generally of getting politicians and civil servants out of London. Because if there's one thing that annoys me, it's when we pretend to be a rich country, because we're not. We are a rich southeast, and then the rest of the country is two Alabamas in a trench coat pretending to have a great empire. Right?
Yeah.
That's essentially all it is. And maybe seeing that, they might say to themselves, oh, maybe we should do more than pay lip service to levelling up. Maybe we should actually try and do something. Once they realise that north of Watford, things are quite literally grim up north. But
true.
The general point I would make here, I critiqued Andy Burnham for only governing for England. And the Number 10 North thing is such a perfect example. Because if you look at the map, you'll notice that Manchester is actually very firmly in the southern half of the country. Like, not even close. The actual kind of midpoint, if we take the actual extremities of the Scilly Isles to the fucking Shetlands, the Orkneys, I should say, in the very north, the actual midpoint is just over the Scottish border. So that's Manchester true. Isn't even close to being north. And yet this is north. Because beyond that, what you essentially have is England's vassal colony. That's how the government sees Scotland, and fundamentally.
At the very least, Scotland has a devolved parliament, right? Whereas the north of England was supposed to be represented by Westminster specifically, and just wasn't.
Well, I mean, yes and no. He's still the Prime Minister of all of that land, all of that country as well. There are devolved powers. He's still the Prime Minister. He still very much supersedes, as we can see by the fact that he's already ruling out allowing the Scottish government a second referendum. Yeah. He supersedes the role of the First Minister of Scotland. But he's not governing as if Scotland is a part of the country. Scotland is an external possession of England.
That's true. That's true.
Which
that's only how it looks rhetorically.
Yeah, it like I think they've given up on winning any seats in Scotland and Wales ever again. They're just going to go.
Basically true.
Let's just do social democracy in England and hope it works or something. Basically, which is grim, because other places exist too. Although, let's be honest, this country is not long for this world, I feel.
Springboard to power was being a very popular mayor here in
Office. You are literally in the number 10 North office. You could at least say office, because that is proper office. Not power, office.
Manchester. But now you represent all of us in the UK and all of us around the world at a time of huge turmoil. The UK's biggest ally is Donald Trump. How was your first call with him?
It was a good call.
His dick tastes like Cheeto. Like, again, he's just going to do essentially foreign policy on autopilot. Whatever the status quo was, we'll just go with that. I'm here to deal with buses and energy bills.
Yeah, like it is the reality, of course, is that outside of the fact that, you know, we all knew that he was far more concerned with the politics internally rather than geopolitics and foreign policy. That will end up with him defaulting to whatever the previous foreign policy position was, which was cuckoldry to America and support for genocide in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It was a warm call. Lasted for 15 minutes or so.
Now, having mentioned how foreigners aren't able to keep up with who the Prime Minister is, you would expect the American Prime Minister to be able to do, but I guarantee you he called him Boris. Because that's the last time his brain was functioning enough to remember the name of anyone else. It's just by everyone's Boris. Every British person is just called Boris.
It was... yeah, it got us off to a good start, and obviously it's a relationship that you take extremely seriously. I need to build.
Kieran with an exceptionally good point. If we take the full extremity, which would be the Falklands, actually the midway point would probably be West Africa. It's a good point. In that case, Manchester is very north.
And to be fair, if you look at the amount of kind of the population of the UK, quite a lot of them are in the south coast of Portugal or on Fuerteventura.
Yeah, I was about to say, does the Algarve technically count? We have basically colonised it. The Costa del Sol, that's basically British now. When you can only find British calf serving eggs and chips and no paella anywhere, that's Britain. What you have is sunny Britain, okay? Although to be fair, Britain is sunny Britain at the minute. Could you fuck off a bit? Jesus.
A way of working with the president that works for him but works for us too, and I'll always be clear about where I think Britain's interest lies. I'm not going to go into this and not be clear about that. But I think it's always important. I'm somebody who tries to work with people, make that connection with people. I think we made an initial connection, and obviously we'll see where we go.
Him hanging out the back of you is technically making a connection, yes. That is true. That's 2 gay sex jokes I've made about this. I'm a very sensible politician, political describer. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Go from here.
Donald Trump started a war of choice against Iran, and that affects all of us with oil prices rising.
Yeah, but to be fair, it was a war of Benjamin Netanyahu's choice.
Yes.
So can you really blame him? He was tricked by a man who is now dead that I didn't kill. So, just,
Was his strategy to attack a mistake?
Well, I think the Prime Minister before, Keir Starmer, did the...
Even he nearly forgot his name. Oh,
and he never existed.
Poor Keir. Oh, even the bloke who literally stole your fucking job, stole your missus, fucked her in front of everyone. Sorry.
Also, also, hold up. Can we just analyze the framing of this question? Was his strategy to attack incorrect? I'm like, was his illegal war a violation of the UN Charter. Correct or incorrect? I'm just like, yeah, actually, crime is bad, right? Like, we're literally in the Ben Shapiro, they should have said banning crime meme, right? Like, this is the world we're living in, where the people can commit international crimes, illegally wage a war of aggression, a belligerent war of aggression against a neutral party, and somehow, like, we still question people. Was it correct to do this? You know, was it critically appraise the faculties of Ian Huntley when he killed all those people, right? Like,
that is a sternum punch of a metaphor. Thank you. I was not expecting a Huntley reference there, but I appreciate the point you're making.
Mr. Burnham, Prime Minister, was Harold Shipman correct or incorrect in killing all those people? Please examine the strategic. Please examine the strategic utility of blowing up a school full of children.
I think with Shipman, you have to take it on a case-by-case basis. Okay.
It turns out blowing up school full of children is actually incredibly strategically sound, right? Like, how can I possibly critique the man with all of the tariffs who kills school children?
Yes, literally. And he doesn't even have the fucking balls to say, yeah, it was wrong, actually.
Yep.
He's just going on, the former Prime Minister, what was his name? Keith? Kemi? Is that a person? I don't know. Anyway, whatever her name was, the last one, right? They fucked it up. But I'm going to do it better and gooder because Lancashire.
Literally. And then also, as I pointed out as well, like, would they've ever asked him, was it a strategic mistake for Russia to invade Ukraine?
Well, because that's illegal and bad, whereas America and Israel can't be illegal and bad because they make the rules on what is illegal and bad. So it's fine.
Right thing, I think, in taking the approach that he did, and I pay tribute to him.
Well, he genuinely believes that, because much like the former incumbent Dave Stamroyd, something like that. Anyway, he's also allowing America to use bases to bomb school children with, because he's a cock. So
yep. And the Stamroids have convinced themselves that Burnham had created a new policy rather than continuing the cuckoldry that Starmer had initiated.
Yeah. Sir, a second briefcase is at the Towers.
He did step back. He did call for caution, and the position he took, I think, was the right position, where it does involve British troops being at risk or attacks on allies. Obviously, there is a case for Britain to support the defence of our allies and our own troops.
But was Donald Trump's decision a mistake? Because we are all paying the price indirectly with the oil price. And now also Iran.
Anything about the school kids and all the people that were showered with fucking petrol rain?
Have you considered, though, actually, that whether or not we can put the heating on at full blast is far more important than the lives of Iranian school children, Kevin?
Yeah, literally. And not just that, but we're not going to run out or anything, or at least not in any time in the near future. What it will just be very expensive, because price gouging cunts are allowed to be price gouging cunts.
And on top of this as well, like, you can't claim to be the cost of living Prime Minister and then also help facilitate Trump's illegal oil price spiking war, right? You can't do that. And again, like, don't give me the bullshit of, we're only allowing defensive strikes from our bases, which is the same, like, which means that we're not actually helping them keep the Strait of Hormuz closed by helping them be belligerent. But you are helping them be belligerent. Every single thing that you do that assists them defensively frees up their own resources to act offensively. The whole point of having a war is that there is push and pull. There are drawbacks and benefits, and you have to take the losses offensively or defensively with the gains offensively. If you take away the defensive losses, right, it leaves them significantly more free to engage in offensive politics elsewhere. It's what Israel does, right? Israel knows that they don't have to fear anything because they have nuclear warheads. So they're allowed to literally fucking expunge huge amounts of the population and colonize their enemy territories.
Yeah. The phrase you're looking for is logistical consequences arrive from our decision. The constraints, the logistical constraints upon an American war effort are at least partly factored in by the fact that we have eased one of their quote-unquote defensive logistical concerns.
Exactly. It changes the opportunity cost of engaging in war.
Indeed so.
Has made a threat against the UK, saying we are a legitimate...
Also, it is a little bit 1984. In that book by James Unwin, one of his famous books alongside Animal Factory, of course, was that literally Britain has been referred to as Airstrip 1. That's what the international kind of conglomeration of Eurasia, or whatever the fuck, is called, right? We are Airstrip 1. In other words, the Americans have taken over the Western Bloc, and Britain is now a landing strip that it uses to bomb other parts of the world. And that's essentially what we are. We haven't officially changed the name, but, you know, Airstrip 1 very, very much did come into existence, you know.
Target. So was it a strategic mistake for Donald Trump to go into Iran?
There's been concern, hasn't there, about the conflict, the escalating nature of it, and that has been communicated in Britain.
Oh, suddenly smooth talking and straight talking Burnham can't have a fucking answer.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? Also, it's especially galling that the cost of living Prime Minister can't call it out, even though he knows as well as anyone, as all of us do, that Trump and his people have been betting on fucking shorting and longing oil prices for their own financial benefit just before he decides to start a new round of bombings. Like, the amount of money they've made in crypto must be fucking billions at this point. All at everyone else's expense, and I mean everyone on Earth's expense.
That at the time, I have been briefed, and I am being briefed regularly on the situation, and that will remain the case.
But you say people.
Yeah, segue. We literally are the Israel of Europe. Yeah, we are an American colonial outpost that they use as an arms dump and a landing strip. Yeah,
and we have significantly less operational independence than Israel.
Yeah, if we tried to take over, I don't know, Cork, America would stop us.
Yeah, literally, 100%.
No amount of, we were promised it 3,000 years ago. Shit would fly in our case. Yeah.
But on top of this, like, just America are going to war because of Israel. They would never do the same if we did this, right? Like,
literally, when the Falklands
the term significantly more than we do.
When the Falklands actually happened, the Americans went, "We're kind of with Argentina on this one." You're like, motherfucker. How many times do we have to suck your dick, and you won't even back us taking over this irrelevant little fucking cluster of rocks in the South Atlantic, you pricks?
We should have fucking triggered Article 5.
Literally, a piece of our sovereign territory was invaded by a fascist autocracy. Yes. Anyway, the point being, but apparently 9/11's worse or something. Brilliant, thanks. Just goes to show you who the rules apply to and who they can restrict. You know.
Had concerns about Trump attacking Iran. Did you have a concern? Do you have the concern right now that it was a strategic mistake and we're all paying the price?
Again, not an illegal move, just strategic mistake. Not a monumental war crime which has cost countless thousands of innocent lives and destroyed infrastructure in an already poor country. No. Strategic. That's all that matters, just strategy.
Potential more inflation, maybe more shocks to the economy and a threat to this country from the Iranians.
I did have a concern at the time. I think I voiced that concern at the time as Mayor of Greater Manchester as the effect came.
But now as Prime Minister, I have to bend the knee and arch my back and look at him in the eyes while I suck it.
Exactly. Literally, it's so obvious again, the forced replay it. And again, at no point has the obvious been asked here by the premier BBC political journalist of, well, it violated the UN Charter, didn't it? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
We treated the Rome Statute. You know, we understand what war crimes are, including the bombing of children's schools. You know, like, maybe comment on these really important parts of this conflict. Like, it was a strategic mistake, though, as if, well, it may have been, UN Charter violation, but it's only in a limited and specific way.
Look, war crimes, war schmimes. Was it a strategic problem?
Yeah.
Came through, and my voice was one of many around the world, and I think those voices, in some ways, had an influence. Obviously, the US and Iran.
On what? It still happened. What are you talking about? What, he'd have bombed them slightly more if you hadn't? Is that your actual suggestion? Because that's bollocks.
And also, she's already framed this question on Iran have decided that we are now legitimate military targets because we've allowed the American aircraft to use our bases, which is basically true. Iran haven't declared it. That's just the rules of armed conflict. Right, we have made ourselves a target by getting involved in the war by allowing America to use our bases in the same way that it's perfectly reasonable for Ukraine to attack Belarusian bases if there were, flights being launched from there to attack Ukraine. Right, they're part of the conflict if they do that. Iran are right to call us out on this. Iran are right to admonish us over this and, declare the correct interpretation of international laws of war. But again, if you really wanted to actually critique this man and his policy, you'd go, you've put British lives at risk, haven't you? You've put British lives at risk by getting involved in this illegal war, making us a target by continuing Starmer's policy of allowing America to drag us in. What do you have to say for the people who might lose their lives in an Iranian strike? That would be real journalism here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Award-winning journalism, though, unfortunately. You only get awards if you suck the Atlanticist teat.
Literally.
And came back to the negotiating table. And obviously then there was an uneasy truce with the process of talks, and we all would want to see de-escalation and a return to that situation. So I will be clear, as I said a moment ago, about where Britain's interest lies. I won't hold back from saying what I think is right and what represents the feeling of people here, but I also have to.
You say that, but I mean, you are a Zionist, and most British people fucking hate Israel.
Yeah.
So clearly that's not true, Andrew. Already.
To live in the world that we're in, and make pragmatic decisions in the best interest of the country.
Do you think that you can trust Donald Trump?
Well, I've had one phone call. And
oh, shut the fuck! Oh yeah, I'd never heard of this guy before. I didn't know anything about him. I've talked to him once. How kind of formed an opinion from one conversation? Don't be so silly. What do you think I am, a politician with decades of experience?
Given how long he's been planning to be in number 10, you'd have thought he would have at any point spoken with literally anybody from FCDO about the relationship between the UK and the United States and know exactly what they were dealing with, right? All of this preparation, didn't think, might have to speak to Donald Trump at some point.
Yeah. Basically, he wants to avoid saying, look, I have to suck his dick. He's the American president. That's the unspoken, but you're not allowed to say that bit. Everyone knows it's true and has accepted it's true, but you're not allowed to say it. So he has to be like, oh, I've only spoken to him once. Brilliant. Yeah, you kind of formed an opinion on the decades of frontline experience he has and that you have. No, I'm sure you couldn't have formed any kind of opinion on that. Thank you, Katie Marshall, with 5 gifties. You've been very generous. Thank you. Yes. Oh, we were on a hype train. I didn't even realise. I've no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Thank you, Seamstress. Thank you, Kane. Thank you, Fuzzmoz. Yeah, you're all fucking awesome. Give money to both of us immediately. Otherwise, I might have to go to Somerset again. And just look at the cathedral.
I always treat people as I find them, and it was a good exchange. It was, as I said before, it was a warm exchange. So I am that kind of...
Yes, semen is warm, yeah.
Politician. I always will judge people as I find them. I've lived my whole life by that, and I will continue to live my life by that. Sometimes, you get an impression of somebody from...
Okay,
media.
pause.
I'll
Cool, you're going to judge people how you find them. You've just found him having been blown up a school full of children. Has that changed your opinion of him? Has that informed your opinions, Andrew Murray Burnham?
No, it hasn't changed his opinion. He does secretly think he's a cunt, but he can't say that
Yeah.
Because then we get 200% tariffs. And he probably bombs us. Because, like, he can already use our air bases anyway. Like, to be honest with you, them asking us for permission to use air bases is like a courtesy. Like, they don't have to. They could just go, FYI, we're using this shit. And we couldn't really stop them. Because we don't have an independent nuclear strike or a navy or anything. So, you know.
I will judge as I find, and I found him to be really warm on Monday. But obviously, you know, we will continue to build a relationship as we go forward.
But as things stand, you're not sure. So you're saying you'll feel your way. You're not sure at this stage that you can place your trust in him as a fellow
It's
leader.
a changing world, isn't it? And you just have to obviously call things as they develop.
And in that
and I
changing
can't
world,
at any point say that I won't take a different opinion from him, that I will need to voice a different opinion.
Okay, I'm going to put it... you will be able to count on the one hand by the end of his term the number of times he's contradicted Donald Trump in any way whatsoever. I guarantee it.
And that is right for Britain, and I will do that. People have seen me do that throughout my political career. Here during the pandemic, when I had disagreements with the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, there have been other moments in my political
Didn't nearly forget his name. That's interesting.
Career where I have kind of stood outside the consensus and spoken for the public. My strength always is in remaining close to people, close to the public. That will not change because I'm Prime Minister.
So you'd be willing to call Donald Trump out if you think that's the right thing?
Of course. I mean, you've got to go in.
Again, you will be able to count on no fingers the number of times he calls out Donald Trump. That's not going to happen. At best, you might get a slightly contradictory interpretation, but he's not going to be like, oh, this guy did a war crime. Did you see the fucking war crime he just did? That's not going to happen. Load of bollocks.
Into this. All leaders have to do that. You have to defend your own national interest before anything else. That's what you're required to do if you're to do this job properly. I will always put Britain's interest first.
And if there
and we're
is an attack
super interested in the death of school children. It's why not only do we assist America in doing so, we also sell weapons so Israel can do the same too.
I was about to say, when he says he's putting Britain's interest first, that's an interesting way of saying Israel. I didn't know it was pronounced Britain. What's that? Strange. Yes. Thank you, Andrew Luke, for gifting a membership. Everyone follow Andrew Luke, who is fucking awesome. Hello there, Casual Revolt and the Revoltors. How are you? We're currently watching Laura Koonsberg, the award-winning journalist. I don't know what award she won. Hopefully a golden turd or something. And interviewing the new king from that there Manchester and that. Having it large. Yeah, I'm joined by No Justice MTG as well. You should also go and follow because she's a famous journalist. She's like Ash Sarkar, but better and more so.
UK assets, or even in the UK, as they've threatened to do from Iran, would you, as Prime Minister, order a strike back?
I mean, I am not going to get into the position of sort of, you know, if you like, guessing what scenarios might develop. It's a challenging situation. De-escalation.
Yeah, what kind of question is that? Would you bomb the fuck out of this country, mate? Like,
would you kill millions, Jeremy?
Yeah, at least, yeah, Jeremy. No, we need to know. Would you turn entire continents into glass, Jeremy? It's very important. No one cares about poverty, Jeremy. Would you eviscerate billions just because the fucking Putin pissed you off or something?
Is the thing that I think we need to see, and I will certainly be adding my voice to the other voices of leaders around the world who are calling for the same.
Are you going to give Donald Trump what he wants, but also...
He already did. He threw it back big time.
Sorry, Indefinite Article points out, did Laura win the FIFA journalism prize?
Literally. And Infantino was like, today I am a journalist. He did. That's exactly what he said.
So what your Chancellor John Healey wants, which is further increases in defence spending. When your Chancellor was Defence Secretary, he said very clearly in black and white that our country would not be safe unless the Prime Minister committed to spending 3% of national income on defence by 2030.
That number keeps increasing all the time, doesn't it? It was 2% and then it became 2.5%. Now it's at 3%.
With a target of 3.5 by 2035
Yeah, like,
as well.
what the fuck? How does it... Is it just exponential? Is this going to go on forever? In 10 years' time,
Again,
it's going to be like, well, surely this Britain can't be safe unless we spend 107% of GDP on defence.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's the one kind of government spending that can always be justified kind of self-referentially, even though the Defence Investment Plan literally involves saving a bunch of money by not spending a huge amount of money on a bunch of military infrastructure that is obsolete in the modern warfare age, and instead producing drones significantly more cheaply.
Yeah. Also, yeah, very good question in chat. Safe from what? Who the fuck is our threat? Who's invading us? Well, the fucking Belgians fancy a bit, do they? We don't really face a threat. Our biggest threat would probably be what? Russia? And we've already seen what a paper tiger that is. We don't need any more fucking expenditure. It's ridiculous.
I think we're a significantly higher threat of the Troubles restarting than getting invaded by Russia.
Well, literally, yeah. Yeah. 12 blokes in balaclavas kicking off is our national threat that we need to have fucking bunker buster missiles for in case it kicks off in Derry. What?
Yeah, we're gonna fucking drone Dundalk.
Let's go.
Will you make that promise to keep us safe here and now?
Well, I appointed my new Chancellor very aware of what he had said about...
And presumably, like, Healey would have had to have gotten guarantees. Having resigned from the cabinet only, 2 weeks prior, on the basis that they weren't spending this X billions amount of money extra on top, right? He would have had to have gotten guarantees from Burnham before taking the job that he was going to be able to actually fulfil that mandate, right? There's no way you would take that job, surely.
Well, given the fact that they've basically said that they're not going to get to that spending of defence spending, it's almost like John Healey didn't actually give a shit and was resigning to hasten the demise of Keir Starmer to then get a promotion by the future Prime Minister who he had previously, I don't know, potentially had on WhatsApp, potentially, where they talked about nothing relevant at all.
No. And the only good thing about all of that is that it makes the Starmeroids very, very irrationally angry.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Their tears are moorishly
They
delicious.
sustain me.
Oh, honestly, more addictive than crack.
Out the critical importance of defence spending and the position that he had taken about that. The first challenge facing us both is to ensure that the Defence Investment Plan is fully funded, and that's the thing that's right in front of us, and we need to work that through as we go towards the budget later this year.
But he said specifically the country will not be safe unless the Prime Minister sets a date of when we're going to hit 3% of national income. Now, it sounds like you're not ready to commit to that yet.
Well, I think that's a little...
And again, just notice the difference of if you want to spend tuppence halfpenny on schools, where's the money coming from? You're going to cripple the economy. Bond markets. Whereas with defence spending, why aren't you spending all of our money on defence? It's a very interesting dichotomy.
And also, just like, I know it's also just worth pointing out that saying this X amount of expenditure on GDP is what we need to make sure that the country is safe is a nonsense argument. It's about defence capacity, like spending X% of GDP. I know, okay, say we spend X% of defence on GDP on defence, and we spend it literally entirely on aircraft carriers. No aircraft put on the carriers, but just aircraft carriers. Is that keeping the country safe? Well, no, it's not. It's doing nothing, and it's a waste of money, right? Like, it depends on how you spend it. And again, I would argue that given the changing nature of warfare and the significantly smaller budget that Iran has had to expend, and indeed Ukraine has had to spend defending themselves from illegal incursions into their territory and illegal wars upon their countries, shows that actually how much you spend isn't what's relevant here.
Yeah. Which is why, of course, we need to then get the spending to 5% to buy the aircraft to put on the aircraft carriers. It's very clever. I see your plan. It's coming together, chat.
It's a little unfair because I was standing in Downing Street just a few days ago talking about...
But surely you were already in Downing Street. Downing Street.
The crucial importance of Britain honouring its commitments on defence, its NATO commitments to international partners. You know, I'm really.
But NATO's 2.5%, isn't it? There's no incumbent. There's no reason to go to 3% other than bum good. But do we do bum good?
Really very clear about that, and
but
to do that,
there's a specific commitment that John Healey put in black and white, which was it has to be 3% by 2030. Will you?
Yeah, why? Why does it have to be that? That's bollocks. And again, that's unquestioned. Apparently John Healey is absolutely unquestionable. Except, of course, if in the new budget he wants to spend money on anything else, then all of a sudden the magic money tree will disappear again.
And not just the magic money tree, the efficacy of doing the policy as well. Like, not only are they not challenging the funding model for what they're saying here, they're also not even challenging the assumption that this dynamic is correct, that it is necessary to spend this money.
Yeah.
Will you commit to that yet or not?
I'm absolutely committed to what we've promised our NATO partners, and that is my commitment. Now we've got to work out the way of doing that, but I do not.
Have you thought about kill all the poor?
Funnily enough, Kevin.
No pre-watch.
Come up in a bit.
No pre-watch.
Might come up in a bit.
Want to see Britain regarded as a country that people can't trust anymore. I don't think anyone wants us to be in that position.
And in order to do that, that will mean many extra billions. And when you look at government spending, the cost of sickness and disability...
Hey! Narrative formation! Narrative formation! Brilliant. Love it. Love it. Love it. I would love it if we mince the poor. R.I.P. Kevin Keegan.
Have you considered turning on poor mincing machine?
Yeah, exactly. Look, all I'm saying is we need to revive Britain's Soylent Green industry. And what better than the disableds? Like, it's so pathetic. The entire narrative, the entire media. Like, this is why people don't, or one of the reasons people fucking hate the media. Because you're all doing it. You're all in cahoots. You all are obsessed with this idea that the only way you can fund the massive amount of military spending that you want, that we definitely need, honest guys, is by mincing the poor. And definitely not taxing the rich bastards that own the newspapers we write for.
Quite.
Can you hear the crazy cunt screaming outside my house?
I can, yeah.
I don't know who that is, but honestly, it might. Look, I might have to go full Somerset on it. Where I did nothing.
It's, for working age people, is now almost as much as the defence budget. Are there people claiming benefits?
Literally, they're doing the thing as well. Do you know we spend more on defence than we do on the Ministry of Silly Walks? Like, it's just fucking... It's pathetic. I don't... Two disparate numbers mean nothing to me. You know, it's possible to eat more boiled eggs than it is houses. I don't care. Yeah, those are two completely irrelevant metrics. What does it mean? What?
Exactly. It's like when Alan Milburn, in conversation with Laura Koonsberg, said we spend 25 times more on actual benefits than we do on spending to help people get back into work. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Of course we do that. Right? Of course we spend more on the thing that is required to make sure that people have enough to be able to live on, rather than the price of one person's job it is to help people out, who can then also help multiple people at the same time. Like, this shouldn't be they shouldn't be anywhere close to each other. But again, they just try and compare numbers which are incomparable but are of different scales to try and scare people into justifying cuts or increases in spending elsewhere. And I'm like, yeah, probably should spend more on welfare than we should on defence. Yeah. I think we dare. And again, her thing here is, well, we almost spend as much on working age benefits as we do on defence. And I'm like, well, there was a long time where we were spending more on working age benefits than we were on defence. The only reason why we aren't at the moment is because defence spending has gone up in recent years compared to it being closer to 2% in the 2010s, right? Compared to the fact that the expenditure on working age benefits has decreased as a share of the overall welfare bill because of an ageing population, welfare cuts that the Conservatives pushed through and the Labour government under Keir Starmer pushed through, alongside an ageing population and the triple lock on the state pension.
I was about to say, yeah, in all of these cutting benefits discussions, non-working age benefits, that doesn't apply to that. It's fine.
Totally ring fenced, right?
Yeah.
Totally ring fenced. It's only working age benefits that can drop. And again, like this idea that defence spending being higher is a problem. Oh, sorry, this idea that it's almost come up to the level of defence spending for working age benefits as some kind of problem is a framing of the lack of understanding on the trajectory of both of those different departmental spending commitments for the past 15 years. And second of all, it's a total misapprehension of where the welfare bill is now.
Yeah, literally, like it's so annoying. The people who most need the help from the government are the cohort that a quarter of whom are millionaires. Right. Okay.
You don't need them.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go straight to blaming those people. What I would say is that there are people in the benefit system, young people in their 20s, who have been, I would say, quite seriously let down because the support wasn't there for them when it should have been there. So I'm talking about a school system that doesn't have the right support for young people with special educational needs or disabilities. I'm talking about an education system that for a very long time has been obsessed on the university route, but hasn't done enough, important point, hasn't done enough for young people who want technical qualifications, and in many ways has treated them as second-class students, hasn't done enough for young people at 16 who want to get an apprenticeship, a work-related opportunity, and that all leaves people in a position when they get to their late teenage years that they don't know where life is taking them. So I don't blame them. I don't think the support has been there for them in the way that it should have been.
Does your plan for welfare, though?
Now, he's obviously doing the whole working class bit here, but I wonder if Oxbridge graduate wants fewer people to go to university is quite the message he wants to be sending.
I mean, do you think he wants his own kids to not go to university?
No. His kids will not be cleaning up your shitter. No.
And again, like, I'm not disparaging the idea that we should be expanding trade qualifications. I think that's something we have had a dearth of, right? But the idea this has to come at the expense of university education is nonsensical. Again, like, the graduate premium has been dropping in this country only because of a lack of investment in the creation of graduate jobs because of the failure of economic macro policy during the Conservative years when we were in a liquidity trap and we should have been investing and we didn't. America has an increasing graduate premium because they didn't do that. They spent a load of money during the dip years of the liquidity trap in the 2010s, and therefore their economy is in a better position than we're in for the creation of those graduate jobs. So the idea that too many people are getting degrees because there aren't enough jobs for them to go into isn't a problem of the degrees, it's a problem of the job market and the failure of investment. But the idea that somehow that means we shouldn't be looking at the ways in which schools can help get kids prepared and in the position to be able to take up jobs immediately, I don't think he's wrong in terms of that lack of support. But I must say, we definitely got, when I was at school, in the 2000s, we definitely got employment opportunities, we got work experience, we got all these aptitude tests, all of these different things to help us prepare us for the job market. These things all exist, and I find it difficult to believe those things have just gone in the last 20 years,
Currently include reducing benefits from anyone who currently receives them or removing them from anyone who currently receives them. Because there'll be some people watching this who thinks there are too many people on benefits who play the system. There'll be other people watching who might feel really anxious that benefits they rely on will be taken away from them. This is not a binary debate, but there's anxiety on all sides. So specifically, as your plans
right, but one group is right to be anxious because they're the people who are most easy to shit on, the most vulnerable in society, who governments have consistently scapegoated for all of the country's problems. When it was clearly the banks, it was the banks, they did it in front of you. And the other group are weird boomer cunts who listen to GBBs all day.
And on top of this, like, you're a journalist, Laura. I understand you're here to put all perspectives to Andy Burnham and get his opinion here, but you're front-loading this with people's anxieties rather than facts. So, for example, someone was in my Twitter replies when I was talking about the welfare system, and they said, oh, well, too many people play the system, there are too much fraud, there's too much fraud in the system currently. And I was like, provide a source, please. Provide a source on the level of fraud, the level of people taking the piss. And they showed me the figures, and it was like 1%. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I actually don't care. If 99% of the people who claim it genuinely need to claim it, then they should be claiming it. And in fact, the DWP, on their own figures, are well aware of the fact that they know people underclaim welfare in this country, not overclaim. In fact, the problem that we have in this country is too many people are entitled to welfare that they don't claim, and they make themselves worse off, which is obviously bad broadly in terms of negative utility, because people being worse off is bad holistically. But also it's worse off for the economy, as they are less productive people. They're more likely to stay on welfare rather than get a job, which is converse to what you might think. You think, well, if you cut welfare, they're more likely to get a job. In lots of cases, that's not true, because you can't be mentally or physically fit enough to go out and get the job in the first place unless you have the proper support and the proper money behind you to do that. And they are unprepared to do that because they are underclaiming welfare due to a sense of pride or a lack of information or a combination of multiple factors. We should be encouraging people to take up more welfare and being more generous, whilst also providing more opportunities as well. The idea this requires cuts is a false one.
Yep. But this is just conservative, like, boomer brain rot hours. That's all that this is. This narrative is just Laura Kuenssberg saying things that Laura Kuenssberg believes, but pretending it's journalism.
Yeah.
And do they include removing benefits from anyone or reducing benefits for anyone?
It's about changing the nature of the support and making some of the support conditional upon people taking opportunities that are presented.
Which it already is. And has been for decades. It's such bollocks. It's such bollocks. The idea that, oh, people just get to sit around and just collect money without any incumbency upon them whatsoever. No. If you get so much of a fucking penny off the government, they want you to do some shit for it.
100%. The only group who get to absolve themselves of continuing to look for work or are forced to take up offers if they're given them, else they might lose their welfare, right? Or have a certain amount of period of time on welfare before they're forced into some kind of government paid role, which is Pat McFadden's plan of like forced workfare, right? The only group that are absolved from this are the incapacitated. Yeah. Right? People who have been signed off basically permanently, even people who've been signed off temporarily, have to continue to have their claim reassessed over and over again to make sure that they're not pretending to not be well again, even if they are. So this applies to literally every form of welfare in this country other than incapacity. It's called limit again. And also, which pointing out, by the way, this incapacity benefit is called the Limited Capability for Work-Related Activity Payment, was already cut by the previous Labour government under Keir Starmer. The most vulnerable sector of society, people who literally cannot work because they're too sick, and they took welfare away from them already. Other than that, if you're on job seekers, universal credit, PIP, there's reassessment, there are continued levels to which you have to continue interacting with the welfare state to do this. And if you're on job seekers, if you're on regular universal credit because you are unemployed, you have to look for work. You have to demonstrate you're looking for work, and you have to take opportunities when they're given to you, either from your inquiries into the job market or if the state provides those places for you. There are already expectations placed upon you. And the fact that Andy Burnham clearly doesn't know this shows you how pathetic our politicians are. Right? People drag Zach Polanski across the coals for like not knowing some finer point of economic policy or like retweeting the wrong things. Multiple government ministers, multiple opposition ministers, multiple people in other political parties like Ed Davey make up their understanding of the welfare state. They don't know anything about it. They've never interacted with the system. It's never been part of the departmental role because he was literally in the government under Tony Blair, right? These people should know the basics of how the welfare state works, but of course they've never interacted with it. Their supporters have never interacted with it. Their party never interacts with it. And so they never have to care about how it works until they get into government and have to make up reasons to cut it. It's pathetic.
Yeah. There's also, the largest welfare recipients, of course, are pensioners who also face stipulations on them receiving their money, which is they have to go on at least 2 Mediterranean cruises every year by law. You know, they don't want to, but they have to in order to get the triple lock. You know, that's
It's
just how it
true.
works.
It's true. They have to risk the cost of Concordia again.
Yeah.
Right.
And-
That's our secret
and-
plan of boomer
Yeah.
sites.
They have to jack up your rent by at least 5% every year. Otherwise, you know, how are they going to make money to go on those cruises? You know, like they don't want to do it. It's the market, you say. Outer X Signal, the person I am talking to is noted famous journalism, No Justice MTG, who you should all go
No
and
awards
follow.
yet, though. So unfortunately, I am lesser than the Laura Koonsberg you see on your screen.
Well, true. This is true. But they're on Navara and all of that jazz, and they're very cool, and you should go and follow them as well.
Please do.
Yeah.
Presented
So you
in
might
front of them.
increase the
I think it's a
conditions
good
required
thing
to
that the
receive
government
benefits.
has given guarantees of opportunities for young people, and I think we need to continue down that approach. And where mental health support is needed, for instance, it's provided in work to support people in an opportunity. Let me just say something more, though, about what you're driving at, which is the welfare bill. I think we've got to get really serious as a country at getting the welfare bill down. And one of the things I would point to was the sell-off of social and council homes in the 1980s onwards that has left us.
And again, he's going to do this thing now where he's going to build council houses. It's fine. Unless you get rid of right to buy, they're just going to be sold off again.
That's a big problem, And it is worth pointing out, like, if you really want to get serious about the welfare bill, then you have to look at the fact that the vast majority of it is pensioner benefits.
Yeah, which they're not going to do, obviously. But, yeah.
Chasing rents in the private rented sector through the benefit system, which means we've got a very high housing benefit bill in this country, and the building...
Actually, that's true, but boomers get it hand over fist, really. In that they get the triple lock and all of that. They bought their council house, which they're often either sold on or are renting out, and then they're then using the money they get from that to buy more houses, which then get funded through council housing benefit for HMOs to then buy more houses. And it's just a cycle of the money going up and up and up into the hands of the richest, oldest people in the country.
Yep, straight out of the pockets of the working age population. And again, perfectly reasonable to have a system to protect the elderly. Again, I want to make it very clear for future viewers of this particular YouTube bit to point out that when we say get rid of the triple lock, we don't mean reduce the size of the state pension. All we are doing is reducing the rate at which it increases. And again, worth pointing out, if people fall under the poverty line, there is already pension credit. Pensioners can claim housing benefit. And it's important that they have access to these things. And I would expand pension credit and probably tax richer pensions to be able to expand it as well.
Yeah.
Because again, like in this country, we have like automatic workplace enrollment in pensions too. So people usually have some level of private provision as well. That's basically the system that we have set up, is that there is a baseline subsistence level provided by the state pension, and then you are encouraged to get a private pension and are automatically enrolled into a private pension to get on top of that. That is the system. If we change that, there will be intergenerational unfairness. I don't like the system. I would prefer to have higher taxes and an all-encompassing state pension, no expectation to get a private pension. But that's not the world that we have. And if we did that, it would be unfair on future generations or the generation previously to totally upend that and create a new one. That's basically what we're stuck with. And we need to make it work the best that we can. And keeping the state pension rising inordinately above inflation is not a good thing to be able to keep that sustainable.
Well, exactly, yeah. I'm more than happy to have... In fact, not more than happy. I fucking demand that pensioners be given dignity in their old age. They should be able to live comfortable, affluent lives. I've got absolutely no problem with that. The problem is, all government policy is aimed just at keeping pensioners happy and fuck everyone else. And that is not on.
Exactly, 100%. We're not asking to like commit boomercide here. What we're specifically asking for is for the conversation around welfare and the actual application of welfare spending to be generationally fair, to be generationally evenly distributed, rather than massively weighted upon one side, and on top of that, rhetorically justified only in terms of it being justified for the elderly rather than the working age.
It reminds me of the discussions they have in America, where they'll take the government spending, a pie chart. Interestingly, the pie chart invented by Florence Nightingale. Little fact for you. Anyway, they'll take that pie chart and it'll be like 73% of its military spending, and be like, What about this, like, 0.2% that's SNAP benefits? Can we cut that somehow? And you're like, motherfucker, look at the massive... Look, it's ridiculous. And you look at the majority of both the amount we spend and the increase every year in the amount we spend on benefits, and it's boomers. It's just pensioners getting more and more and more, exponentially more, because it always rises above inflation because of the triple luck, which again, generationally unfair and all the rest of it. And they just go, no, what about, have we killed enough disabled people to make sure that the boomers can go to the Caribbean 3 times this year?
Again, that's a big problem. I think you're right. So thank you, Jack, for the £5. Just caught up and wanted to say about Pride and the Palestinian cause was at Nottingham Pride at the weekend, and loads were chanting Free Palestine. Love to hear it. Thank you very much for the donation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to allow terrorist scum to like influence my politics. I'm not going to abandon either Palestine or, more broadly, my Muslim brethren on the basis that an evil cunt did an evil thing. Like, that's not how that works.
So Mick Hills in chat says, we have the lowest pensions in Europe. Don't divide the young and the old, that's the capitalist trick. First of all, the young and old are already divided. The old vote against the interests of the young. We are only fighting back. Second of all, we have the lowest pensions in Europe. Again, that is different on comparison on how the pension system is created. And it's because we have a system of automatic pension enrollments for workplace pensions, right? Like, we have a system specifically about having a baseline level provided by the state, which is topped up by auto-enrollment from workplace pensions. People who don't have any time in work in their lives don't qualify for the state pension, so have other welfare that they can claim. But that's the system that's set up as it is, right?
Yeah.
We are also set into this system as young people right now, where we have to invest in a private pension to make sure that we can also supplement our base subsistence level state pension in the future too. That is the system that everyone has bought into from the start until today. That is the broad system the state pension is there to be able to support. Increasing or decreasing that as a percentage of the welfare bill will be generationally unfair if one is higher than the other in either direction, rather than them going up together at the same time, right? That doesn't change until the whole pension system changes.
Yeah. Also, just to that chatter, you might have said this before. You heard me say specifically, I want pensioners to have good lives, and I want their lives to improve as well. That's fine. Got no problem with that. But like, currently, pensioners own all of the houses and basically live on the Costa del Sol, and my retirement plan is being hit by a bus.
I mean, it's like not exactly like, it's kind of facetious, but it's not far off.
Yeah, I'm being a little bit playful and sort of sassy with it. But basically, I don't have a pension. I have no plan. There is nothing, and I am not an outlier. I am not a strange, unusual case for my generation. We know when we get to that age, that benefit will not fucking be there. There is no final salary pension. There's no fucking triple luck for us, assuming we get to that age, of course. If climate change or nuclear war doesn't fucking kill us all or something, which frankly would at least get around the problem of pension spending if every human being is wiped off the face of the earth. But yeah, I mean, again, it is generational. There's no doubt about it. Look at the voting patterns. It can always be broken down by under 50s vote one way, over 50s vote the other way. On basically every fucking issue.
Yep, that's totally the reality that we live in at the moment. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Thank you, Sergei Meerkat, for the 5 gifties. Appreciate the support.
Like, I know what you mean, you know, the no war but class war, but I mean, there's generation war. It's been declared. Not to fight back is just cuckoldery.
100%. Thank you, Corvinson, for the £2 finally call the stream. Thank you. I appreciate the support. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, there is a generational war happening and it's being done against us. If you're asking us to ignore it, is to ask for us to essentially have our welfare cut and pensioner welfare increased ad infinitum for eternity, right? We have to push back and fight for our interests as it exists currently. For like tomorrow. Right? Tomorrow, the workers could seize the means of production, right? The entirety of the means of production, all capital in this country could come under state or worker or cooperative control tomorrow, right? And the state system could still take the result of that income, of that national income, and shuffle it further towards people above retirement age if they weaponize their larger voting cohort to justify that use of of a welfare expenditure. Whether the workers own that capital or private interests own that capital, that dynamic can still continue as long as the old are waging generational war against the young by using their voting power against them, right?
Yeah.
That has no bearing on the capitalist or socialist nature of the economy.
And it's not like some intrinsic, like, idealist thing about, oh, well, old people are just the way they are. No, it's concrete reality. The reality is that they made huge amounts of money in the sell-off of public public services and public utilities. They made huge amounts of money buying up very cheap council housing, and have used that wealth to essentially hoard and increase the overall demographic wealth of that particular set of people we know broadly speaking as boomers, and have used that both economic and financial power to keep hold of it with an ironclad grip.
Exactly, 100%. And again, and this isn't even like a problem of the generation as a generation, right? And we're not blaming them personally. It's an emergent property of the fact that they were subjected to neoliberal material conditions and that transfer of wealth from state policy. And it was specifically the strategy of the Thatcher administration to change people's opinions on statecraft and the social contract through this kind of bung of wealth that was given to them, right? The actual quote was, economics is the method, but the goal is to change the soul. Because if you give people this nest egg of capital to live off of, they will be protective of that and become conservative. That was the economic and political economy of the Thatcher administration. And by trying to tell people that greed was good and self-interest was more important than the social contract, they then understood that as statecraft. That is the base reinforcing the superstructure and vice versa. It's basic Marxism, right? The idea that they wouldn't be influenced by that is asinine. The problem, of course, is they have been influenced by that, and in a democratic system where mob rules, if we don't fight back, we'll lose. It's as simple as that, right? I'm not blaming them, I'm blaming Thatcher and her system, but until we explain to these people to vote in the interests of the younger generations and to not continually subsume more and more of the welfare state at the expense of working age people, that dynamic will continue forever. And again, that is part and parcel of generational warfare, and it is irrelevant to the economic system more broadly we live under.
Well, I've given up on trying to convince them of anything. I'm just waiting them out.
I mean, all the alternative is we convince younger people to go out and fucking vote, right? Like, they will continue to listen to the gigantic voting cohort, because they are a large voting cohort of boomers, because they are the baby boomers. They literally grew up because of a baby boom, which is why their generational cohort is so big, and they have weaponized that democratic power for their own ends. I'm not saying this was done cogently or deliberately, but it's how it's worked out more broadly. Is their interest been represented by policy more than other generations because they are demographically powerful, because of how large the cohort is. Young people need to vote to change the dynamic there, right? If you don't have your views represented because you don't go to the fucking polls, don't get mad when politics is not done in your interest, which is why I believe in compulsory voting.
I don't agree with compulsory voting. We don't need to get into it, but like either way, again, I don't think we can convince either of those groups to do those things necessarily, given the realities we currently live in. It's just old people will be dead soon, so they overall as a number will decrease massively over the next decade, and of course the financial drag that has on the country will also decrease, so that's nice.
There's also an interesting point somebody made on TikTok by a guy called J.R. Edwards, who pointed out that one of the things with boomers, right, is that they live in an interesting position where historically the older generations were there to impart wisdom down onto the youth, right? Like, there was this understanding that their role as the older generation was to set the next generation up for success through the impartation of knowledge because of their age. The boomers grew up in an era where, first of all, the idea of a social contract got shredded, so they were never even incentivized to do such a thing. But even if they wanted to do such a thing, they don't have experience that's relevant, because the world 20 years ago is like fucking unrecognizable. Yeah. The world 30 years ago especially is unrecognizable. The things they learned when they were young adults are totally irrelevant to the lives of young adults today, post-internet, post-information superhighway, post-financial crisis, post breaking down of the geopolitical stability that they grew up in, like a totally unrecognizable world to the one where they gained that experience. Yeah. So what do? Like, they're not relevant. their opinions aren't relevant to the world because they can't impart wisdom anymore. That's not their fault. That's the fault of the rapid advancement of technology. But it leaves them feeling, at least somewhat kind of impotent in terms of the direction of the country and in terms of their role as a society. Like, what wisdom can they provide to us? Print your CV on hard stock paper and pound the pavement. Irrelevant. Totally fucking irrelevant, right?
It's interesting you say that, how the world has changed post-internet. I think it was 1996, I believe the vote took place. There was a public vote on the invention of the year, and the winner of the vote was the widget, which, for those who don't know, is a small plastic ball with like rivets in it, not rivets, grooves in it that you put inside a beer can, which keeps it like fresh once it's opened, so it keeps it kind of zesty and with a head on it and all the rest of it.
Boddingtons have those widgets.
A nice little invention. Number 2 on that list was a new thing they called the internet. I wonder what happened to the widget. The world has changed so vastly in that time that like you say, the boomer generation's understanding of the world is, you might as well be from the Victorian age.
I mean, that's the level of difference that we're dealing with in terms of the functioning of society. It's not entirely not their fault. Vimster says, well, if we need the young resenting anyone over 50, it's what the establishment would want. And I'm just like, well,
who do you think the establishment are? There are no fucking young people. What?
And on top of this, like, it's worth pointing out, right? Like, again, before now, the resentment was only in one direction.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not asking for resentment. I'm genuinely not. That's why I made clear this was a statement of material circumstances and political economy and the fault of Thatcherism and the deliberate cultivating of these particular opinions. But just by saying, well, you can't be resentful, that doesn't make those opinions and that political economy go away. It just doesn't.
Yep.
Of new council and social homes over time will help get that benefit bill down in a fair and sustainable way. And I think the thing I'm just pushing back on is this idea that we go to a kind of crude approach, crude cuts to benefits to get the welfare bill down. Often that just pushes people into even more crisis and then even more public spending in another part of the system. We need a system that sets people up for success rather than pays for failure.
You have...
Are you knocking into your mic at all?
No.
Because there's like a kind of knocking sound or something.
That's very strange. Maybe it's me hit my desk. But I'm not even tapping my feet. I'm sitting cross-legged on my chair. But I mean, at least Andy Burnham here is pointing out the Matsukato principle of, the cost of inaction is greater than the cost of action. At least he's putting at least somewhat of a wall against the idea of crude benefit cuts, right? The problem, of course, is that he's already said he wants conditionality on welfare that is already conditional. So I can't trust him with welfare now because he clearly hasn't got a clue what he's talking about.
Yep.
This week, doled out quite a lot of things that you hope people will like. People may well like them, capping bus fares, also promising to cut taxes on pubs and take VAT off electricity.
See, that's doling out stuff. Giving money to Raytheon is essential and needs to happen quicker and more. Whereas
retail, it's silly bungs.
Capping bus fares is doling out goodies. You're bunging the poor. Like, what the fuck, man?
It's identical framing to what we got from fucking Hugo Rifkind and Gatestone Danny from Times Radio on Saturday.
Literally, yeah.
But the country's problems and the country's debts are massive. There's defence we've discussed. You want finally to fix social care. We know you.
Interesting that you didn't mention that massive debt when you were talking about how you wanted to massively increase defence spending. But now he's talking about capping bus fares. All of a sudden, the massive debt's appeared.
And again, it's worth pointing out they want us to spend tens of billions extra on defence.
Yeah.
The cost of the bus fare cap was 400 million, and the cost of the VAT cut on pubs was 100 million, right? So, like, less than 10%.
Which is nothing.
Of what,
Look, if a government plan for the entire nation doesn't cost billions, if it's in the millions, it means nothing. It's
exactly
a joke amount of money for the government.
Like, people were getting mad about, how's he going to pay for it? How's he going to pay for it? And I was just like, the pub VAT cut was 0.0073% of government expenditure. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant.
That's the budget that Whitehall spends on staplers. It's nothing.
Exactly.
It's absolutely irrelevant amount of money.
Care passionately about that. Will you commit to creating a new social care system before the next election?
I will go as quickly as I can on the reform
That's not the same.
of social care.
Is that true? Binface is promising to cap bus fares at $1.99. He's a clever little cunt. I like him, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, because a whole new system, which is what you asked, takes time. I think there are major changes you can make before the next election. And the reason why I say I'll go as quickly as I can is because I believe broken social care is the biggest cause of corridor care in the NHS. It's the biggest cause of billions being spent.
Well, again, it's the false economy of austerity, pretending that you're saving money, quote unquote. It's the Elon Musk thing, just getting rid of money spent and going there. We saved all of that money. Ignores what the other side of the ledger. Like, what do you get back from that, right?
Or what assets you were gaining. You know, like in terms of. The Reform UK councils kept saying we've saved £100 million, and it was just like it was all capex, right?
Yeah.
They just like cut the capex budget to zero, and I'm just like, well, that's this year's capex budget. You weren't spending that next year because you would have gained the assets through that capex budget, and your overall ledger would be greater because of the asset that you've gained, right? Like the idea of assets versus liabilities from people who proclaim to be the people who understand business, right? And I'm like, every business knows that you spend money to make money. Every business knows that you invest in capital to make a return. And once you own the capital, the return is basically on top of the value of the asset that you've gained. It's ridiculous that they can't understand this stuff.
Yeah. The reform stuff is amazing. The Worcestershire guy, Warwickshire guy, I should say, is amazing. The little fetus they've got running that council, who came in saying we're going to save billions on DEI, realised that's not a thing. We don't spend any amount of money on that. And so just started closing down school buses. Oh, yeah, that's definitely what people wanted. Thanks. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, the not spending money on social care has so many massive knock-on effects down the line in things that we already spend money on, so you can sort of hide it in the figures. Whereas if you propose new spending on social care, like elderly care or care for disabled people or whatever, you have to justify that to a media who fucking hate those people, and secondly, you would have to find new money. Even though you would actually save that money in other areas, you'd have to find the initial actual spend of that somewhere, which is a difficult political decision to make. So governments just talk a game and then do nothing about it, much in the same way they do with mental health care. They'll pretend they're going to do something and then not, and it has those knock-on effects. The same way they pay lip service to levelling up and then do nothing about it, and it has massive knock-on effects. And overall, the standard of living in the country drops and drops and drops.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Shiny Woman chat says it's so frustrating the discussion is stuck on intergenerational resentment. No mention of how the working class won its benefits through strikes and riots. That's what we need again. Well, the problem, of course, is that whilst I agree, we want more strikes, we want more riots, we want more direct action, we want more working power.
I don't know.
But that's specifically on the class axis here. No one's saying we need to get rid of the class axis and replace it with a generational axis, right? The problem, of course, is, again, as I mentioned before, once the means of production is seized, once we create the socialist state, there can still be, assuming it's democratic, a democratic deficit whereby a large generation can outvote a smaller generation in terms of the receipt of welfare. That doesn't change just because the class dynamics have changed. That will still be the same in terms of those problems, right? Like, and again, there is no desire for the elderly to go out and strike and riot because they don't need to, because they are already out of work and claiming state welfare again for all the rest of their lives. And it's good that they are, right? But that means that their incentive structure and how they approach society in terms of democratic politics totally different to the working age generations.
I would just want to say, for legal reasons, I don't know that we want to say we want more riots.
Well, yeah, but that's true.
Yeah, and secondly, Lucy Connolly exists. Let's not call for violence in chat.
No,
because the government can will use that against
strikes.
You. Just saying.
More industrial power is what we need. There we go.
Exactly, strikes are legal theoretically. So just say strikes and we know what you mean.
Yeah, for sure.
It has to be legal because the law is written by people who care and have our best interests at heart in all matters. Okay?
On people unnecessarily going into hospital from care in their home or in a residential care home, because sometimes the care workers supporting them just feel they've no choice but to ring 999. Let me make this point because it's very personal to me. And then people have long stays in hospital, which never should have happened in the first place. And then they end up fit to go home, but unable to be discharged because the social care isn't there. This costs the NHS billions of pounds, and we will never get the NHS back to good waiting time standards until we fix social care.
And that's the point, though, isn't it? This is something, actually, in interviews, you and I have discussed this for 20 years.
Yeah.
There have been proposals on the table, very similar proposals being put on the table time after time after time after time. This is about political will, is it not?
Yes.
And it's about being willing to put money onto it.
Yes.
So you don't, it might be suggested, need to wait for new proposals. This is about whether or not you, as a new Prime Minister, want to commit to it,
And, of course, there's literally no mandate for this whatsoever.
Nope.
It's not in the manifesto, mate. Like, everything he wants to do now, I'm just going to go, well, you didn't want to do PR because it wasn't in the manifesto. You chose not to do PR because it would have been politically inconvenient for you somehow. Cool. Awesome. Well, enjoy fascism then, I guess. I don't know.
Commit taxpayers' money to it, want to commit political energy to it. And you might not have time.
And I won't change coming into this job. I'm not going to take different positions than the ones I've long put to you in interviews. I will...
Yeah, he is still a Zionist cunt. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, hasn't changed on that. I wonder if his first foreign visit will be to Israel.
Whatever political capital I have, I will put in to fixing broken social care, and I would not want to leave office without having brought in the substantial change.
Okay, I know he doesn't mean it in this way, but the fact that he's like, I wouldn't want to leave office without blah blah blah. Obviously, we accept that every Prime Minister's term will come to an end at some point, but it does kind of feel, with the revolving door, like they view it as a kind of temp position. Like they've been sent there by an agency. They've got a 6-week contract and they might get renewed for another month rolling basis. Like, I won't be here in a few weeks and I wouldn't want to leave without, like, saying goodbye to everyone. Oh, God. Do I still get an invite to the Christmas party if I leave in November? You know?
The new system of social care that you described. I can't put a timeline on it right here, right now, but I know, actually, not just for the needs of the people who need social care support and work within that system.
Has he actually said anything so far? Really?
He said that he will act in the nation's best interests, but he doesn't say anything about Trump when asked about that.
Yeah.
When asked about welfare, he said it should be conditional, even though it already is. When he asked about defence spending, he said that he would want to spend more, but he doesn't want to commit to any number of expenditure, what that expenditure might be, or the time scale for where he would increase the spending or where it would come from. And when it comes to social care, he wants to do it at some point before he stops being Prime Minister.
So no, then, is the answer.
No.
No.
If we don't do it, the NHS will collapse under the weight of trying to care for people who've really not really needed to end up in the NHS system.
Lots of things that you care about are expensive and costly.
But we're paying for social care at the moment.
Apparently, spending tens of billions, though, on the military wasn't costly, because she never used the word costly. In fact, she never brought up how expensive it would be at all. It was just taken that that's worth spending. Whereas now...
Necessary.
You want
right?
to take care of the elderly and the infirm. Outrageous. That's going to cost money.
Ramzan Kadyrov will be on the streets of London murdering pensioners if you don't give all of this money to Raytheon.
Literally.
But should the wealthy in this country get ready to pay more tax in Burnham?
I mean, they should, but they won't, is the answer.
Yeah. Britain. You've even got Gary Lineker, who you did an interview with the other day, saying he and his few of his rich pals should pay more. Maybe on their property? Should the wealthy be ready to pay more tax on their assets and their properties?
I'm 4 days in. I mean, you're asking me now to right.
No. You don't get to be, oh, I'm just small bean Andy Burnham from Manchester. You are the fucking Prime Minister. Have a plan, you cunt. This is not acceptable to say, I've only been in 4 days. Do the fucking job then. You don't stop. Well, you can't expect me to say or do anything for the first few weeks. I'm on a hiatus period. I don't need to fucking say shit. Fuck you. Do your fucking job.
And on top of this, like, we know you spent a year planning for this. It's basically already been admitted as such that you spent a year planning this. And again, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad someone in the Labour Party knew that the whole Starmer shit was going to go tits up and had a contingency plan in place beforehand. So I know that you know you want to do things. So don't bullshit me pretending that you don't.
Yeah. It's so annoying. Because ultimately he is still just a Blairite politician, right? That's the thing. As much as there are some good bits that he's sort of announced or mooted that he wants to do, but it's you can't trust him. You just can't. And you know he's going to fucking AI the country to fuck as well, because Tony Blair.
You know, the next budget or, you know, the next manifesto.
Well, I
have a manifesto and I'm serious about sticking to the manifesto.
But you said there was...
Except, of course, all of the areas where you're not sticking to the manifesto at all. Literally at all. There's no social care shit in there. Literally the opposite of your sort of intimated, maybe we're going to drill baby drill in the North Sea. The opposite of that's in the manifesto.
Yep. If your cuts to welfare target the disabled specifically, that would break a manifesto commitment to have the disabled at the heart of everything the government does. That you literally says that in Labour manifesto, right? Like, if your plan is we're going to start trying to cut welfare benefits for the disabled again, or make them more conditional, rather than actually liaising with disabled people about what they need, then that will break the manifesto commitment too.
Also, they're so close to playing footsie. So close.
For manoeuvre on tax, and I'm asking you because you've often argued very clearly that there should be more tax, whether on property or land. You're interested passionately in fixing social care, which is a very costly thing to do. We know the country's debts are enormous, the demands on...
See, again, costly has been mentioned twice. The amount of debt we have has been mentioned twice, neither of which were even remotely mentioned talking about military spending.
Yep.
Fuck Laura Kuenssberg.
On defence are enormous. So there's lots of economists that would look at that and say, you've got to find money from somewhere. So I'll ask again, should Gary Lineker and wealthy friends be ready to pay more tax? Because you said before...
No, to be fair, he is asking for that. You don't like... It's not... Gary Lineker isn't just saying tax me. He's saying tax you, Laura, because you're also fucking rich.
True.
Like... Also, that's an amazing like stroke face she has going on there.
Or maybe they will have to pay a little more.
Well, let me answer it this way. You know, there are people here in Greater Manchester who pay a much higher council tax than people living in much larger homes in London. So the Chancellor before, Rachel Reeves, was right to start to reform.
Hang on a minute. Pause. I support this policy. Right? I'm just going to précis this by saying I absolutely support this change in taxation from council tax to land value tax. I think this is a significantly fairer way of doing it. But it's actually the opposite of what he's saying is true here. Like, it's not larger homes in London that pay less council tax. It is the more expensive homes in London that pay less council tax, which are smaller, because small homes are expensive in London and cheap elsewhere because the land is more expensive, right? That's what's happening here. Like, of course, there are large homes in London which might pay less in council tax than some places elsewhere, right? Because of the changing nature of the council tax banding system. But in the vast majority of cases, the reason why the big discourse here, like the discordant nature of council tax, is that a £1.5 million London house, which might be quite small comparatively, pays less tax than a £120,000 4-bed semi-detached house in Accrington might pay, because no one wants to live in Accrington because there are no fucking jobs, because these places have had low levels of investment. If Andy Burnham wants to reinvigorate the North the way he says he is by investing in these places and creating jobs, the house prices will go up.
Interestingly, a land usage tax was the reason that a lot of Tudor houses have overhanging upper levels, because you were taxed specifically on the footprint of the building. So it was cheaper to have a narrower base and then upper floors that overhang, because you don't have to pay any extra tax, even though no one can build on that land underneath you. But you know, they technically did. They lawyered the shit out of it. Yeah.
What you have to do then is you have to be able to change it so that it becomes the footprint of the entire shadow of the building rather than just what's built.
Because in modern, like with modern technology, they'd be able to like have a foundation that's like 3 inches by 3 inches, and then a massive tower block on top of it. So technically, we're only paying fucking 5p a year in land use tax. You know,
fairness there in relation to people in homes that are much greater value, who haven't seen their council tax go up over the years because of the failure to revalue the banding. So, that's an example of something that I think was right.
So you would look at reforming the council tax system?
But I am also saying to you that we need to honour the manifesto upon which Labour was elected.
Apart from with virtually everything you've said you want to do, which isn't in the manifesto. Like, motherfucker, it's partly because the manifesto was shit and they were all lies anyway, and Keir Starmer broke them all anyway, that you're the Prime Minister.
Well, the fact that he's going to get away with not doing anything that looks remotely like what the prospectus was in the manifesto is because it's all been fucking broken by Keir Starmer anyway. We know that it's basically just waste paper, like toilet paper at this point. So fuck it, do what you want. Who cares?
Just rip it up and say that manifesto was shit. Keir Starmer was shit. I'm going to do things differently. I don't technically have a mandate for it, but fuck it. The rules are what they are, bitches. I'm going to make your lives better. Let's get in, bitches. We're going rebuilding.
Exactly.
And if
Fixing
I was
the
to bring
foundations.
forward any changes,
Literally,
people would rightly say, "Well, is this consistent with that manifesto?" So, there are big decisions ahead. You are right about that. I need to be very prudent when it comes to the public finances. I will stick to the fiscal rules, and I know, people try and create a sense that I won't take that cautious approach. I will take that cautious approach.
I suppose.
Which means nothing will change then. Like, if he's actually telling the truth there and he's going to stick by the fiscal rules, he will have the same hamstring effect that the Rachel Reeves had, and therefore nothing will happen that will be good, because you won't be able to afford anything.
Yeah.
You face choices for a whole generation. Whether it's the scale of the debt, whether it is the demands on defence. And you hinted there also during that by-election campaign, there were some concerns about whether or not you really were going to stick to the economic guidelines that Rachel Reeves had set down. But I suppose, where is the pain going to come? Because capping bus fares, giving a pub a grand off their tax bill, that might be very, very welcome. But that's the pleasure, the goodies that you're happy as a new Prime Minister to dole out. What people want to know is, where is the pain going to come?
Here, in Greater Manchester, I took on the bus industry, the bus companies, because they were running a system that was working for them. And it was painful to a degree, because the bus companies made me go all the way to the High Court, but I fought them and I won that argument, and I got the ability to put buses back under public control here. Then if you look at water, you could say, right, a similar approach is needed. You take on the vested interest. The water industry in Britain, it's a system where the shareholders never lose and the public never win.
And are you going
so
to
the
take
pain
into
comes, I'm afraid, in disrupting some of those arrangements and saying to those vested interests, you can't have it like this anymore.
Okay, when it gets to difficult decisions...
Unless, of course, those vested interests are the state of Israel.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. In which case, those will not be taken on. Maybe that's what's going to happen. He's going to allow the nationalisation of our water services by the Israeli government. No, that's the only way we're going to get nationalisation, is if we let Tel Aviv
control.
exactly.
Public with
the Tel Aviv public. Anyway, this stream is brought to you by Jerusalem Thames Water.
Public, in the last
Thames Aviv
couple of decades, have in many cases felt that politicians haven't listened to them when it comes to decisions about immigration. under the current government plans, the suggestion is that people in this country legally, migrants, might have to wait 10 years or perhaps more before they are allowed to stay. Will you carry on with that plan?
Well, that proposal has been under consultation.
Well, Shabana's still Home Secretary, so yeah, I think it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, he signalled
specifically,
very loudly and clearly, nothing will fundamentally change.
Well, yeah, she's been specifically put in that position to continue the Shabanopticon, right? Like,
Yeah.
why else would she be staying as Home Secretary?
Yeah. Again, presumably she would have gotten guarantees in order to accept that role that she was going to be able to continue the building of Prison Britain. HMP Britain, as it were.
And what's your view as the new Prime Minister?
Well, I come in and I am listening to people's views.
Oh, fuck off. You've been preparing for this for a year. You can't come in and be like, we're going to set up a quango as to whether we should mince all disabled and all immigrants all at once, or do it more gradually. Like, no, you're not a new person to this role, fundamentally.
You're a government minister. You've previously been a government minister.
Yeah. Like, it was when Gordon Brown... this is a fucking deep cut from nearly 20 years ago now. When Gordon Brown took over as Prime Minister, having been Chancellor for 10 fucking years, and was like, I've only just stepped into the role. You can't expect me to have fully thought out plans, when he was questioned by then new leader of the opposition, David Cameron. And I was like, motherfucker, you can't pull that one. You've literally been living in Downing Street for a decade, mate. Just shut the fuck up with the, I've only just taken the job. Fuck off. No, you went to visit the king. That's all that happened. You've been planning for this for 20 fucking years.
And on top of this, like, people always say, well, I've only just got my hands on the books. The public accounts are available to view on the internet for everybody, right? You can literally just Google public accounts and download a fucking PDF. Like, it's not difficult to understand where the money is.
Yeah.
To a fair resolution. You know, I think the worry that people have is the feeling that it's out of control and that we don't have a grip as a country, and therefore we don't have the right procedures in place.
So you might look again, though. You're not persuaded that that's the right plan, because people might be worried about that.
I'm going to look at what's been said during the consultation, and I mentioned so.
Okay, what about if the consultation comes back and they say, just fucking nationalise it, you cunt? Will you actually do that, or will you go, how about stronger regulations?
Thank you, Jack, for the $4.99. The Cockney Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have a right to defend themselves. True.
Literally. Although, given Israel's propensity for cutting off water, maybe letting them have control of our water is probably not a great idea. And I can just imagine fucking Keir Starmer from beyond the grave going, well, you know, Israel does have the right to cut off water to the Severn Trent area, you know.
Social care before, and I see people contributing to our society by working in social care, who've in many cases come from around the world to work there or work in the NHS. I don't think people actually say that is something that we don't want. We want people, when they're here and making a contribution, to be able to be, if you like, supported.
But you said clearly you're not yet persuaded that that is the right way to go, so that people will be interested.
Well, I'm looking at the
hear
consultation. I think it's fair enough for me to say 4 days into the job where there has been...
No, you are not a small bean. You were a government minister when people who are adults now were not born. I'm just saying, mate. You don't get to pretend like, I'm not convinced by that argument. We've only been in for 4 days. You've been preparing for this for fucking years. You literally have talked about how you're... it's not nationalisation, it's cityisation, city regionalisation of buses worked in Manchester. So why are you not convinced that water would be any different? Like, what would you need to be convinced by? Just because buses weren't flooded with shit? Well, actually, buses generally are flooded with shit, but that's a different matter. They need to clean buses better, is what I'm saying.
Discussions going on that, you know, I kind of come in look at the situation and say, right, let me see what people are saying, let me see the balance of the arguments. I think people would expect me to bring a new pair of eyes to these issues and find where the fairness is and the right point of balance. And that's why I have put a pause on the early release scheme. So it's why the review I've initiated is real. And
now you've put a pause on that because one of your ministers literally was like joking about it.
Yeah. So
like it was politically very embarrassing. So you went, yeah, let's not do that. Let's at least kick it into the long grass for now. We'll see how we feel when there's a much quicker news day that we might be able to slip it in.
If changes are needed, I will make them.
Just as you're trying to give people a bit of breathing space with the cost of living, you're saying, give me a bit of breathing space.
It's right that where concerns have been expressed about elements of where the government is at, that I do take the moment to look afresh, and I'm currently doing that.
One of the things that is also on your desk is a conflict on the edge of our continent. The Ukraine war rages on.
The edge of our continent is an interesting phrase. Is it? Because people do this. They'll say like, oh, Poland is in Eastern Europe. No, the fuck it isn't. Understanding of geography is not great in Britain. Manchester is not in the north of Britain, and fucking Poland is the very central part of Europe. It's not remotely on the edge of a... Like, literally, Ukraine is the largest country entirely in Europe.
On top of this, like, there is half of Russia and also half of Turkey in Europe.
Well, not half of a tiny bit of Turkey, really, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it is pan-continental. I've been across the Dardanelles on a bridge. No, I didn't swim it or anything, but yeah. Lovely city, Istanbul. Anyway, the point being, the Ukraine is very firmly in Europe. I know we don't like to think of it because it's like, it's commie land, and that's not real. That's not proper Europe. They're a little bit husky, but it's just Europe.
Would you take a call from Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, and I'd call him a bitch and hang up. What's up?
I would have to know the circumstances in which that was being requested. So it's hard to answer that question directly.
Also, it's funny how the world has just forgotten that Trump invited him to Alaska and then like nothing happened.
Yeah. And also, like, why aren't you asking whether or not you'd have a conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu?
Because that's just fine and dandy and not a problem, apparently. Yeah. Thank you, Fuzzmos. He says, maybe if Andy bothered, he would look at and explain of water being publicly owned rather than privately owned. Unfortunately, because it's in Scotlandshire, he's not going to notice. True, Scotland is just a county now. That is true.
Yeah, like, we talk about, like, the problems of British water privatisation. And like, no, I think you'll find that's English water privatisation. Because Welsh is like owned by a non-profit, and Scotland is owned by Regional Water Authority.
Yeah.
Obviously, want to first and foremost take my lead from the person that I would want to hear from, who would be President Zelensky, who will be coming here. I look forward to
Okay, he'll be coming. It's a great way to cut that clip off.
Yeah, that would be good. But no.
Although to be fair, and Bernard did the same thing at his speech in number 10. Just turns up, does his wave, and then goes, "I've just come from Buckingham Palace."
From Buckingham Palace, yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting pause game he has going on. I'm not sure I like the framing of that. I'd have to speak to Vladimir Zelensky. Why? Like, we know what generally speaking, the Ukrainian position is on anything, but also what happened to Britain's interests? You couldn't independently talk to another world leader without getting a third world leader's say so. Why? Like, I know you need to signal that you support Ukraine, but you can do so without ceding British sovereignty. That's just weird. It's almost like a fetish in the British establishment for prioritising Ukraine in all matters in that region. Why? There are other factors at play.
Coming him, again, I pay tribute to the former Prime Minister who gave him huge personal...
Okay, he's definitely forgotten his name now. If you're saying former Prime Minister, he's already forgotten his name.
Oh, anyway, again, he doesn't want to ruin his current premiership by mentioning the guy everybody hates, right?
Yeah.
Literally, it's he who must not be named.
Yeah. The guy that used to live in my house? That guy? Yeah.
Support. He will get exactly the same from me. I would do nothing.
I've told you the Mr. Chicken thing before, right?
No?
No. The last private resident of number 10 Downing Street before it was bought and then gifted to the to future occupants of the position of Prime Minister. Or First Lord of the Exchequer, technically, because Prime Minister is a 20th century invention as a phrase. Was a guy called Mr. Chicken.
Well, there you go.
Literally true. And my headcanon is that it was an actual chicken, double bluffing everyone. Like, there's no way a chicken would call themselves Mr. Chicken. That must be a real person. And actually, it was a very, very clever chicken.
Absolutely nothing to undermine him in the conflict in which he is in. You know, my support for Ukraine is unwavering. It is 100%, and I will do what in Ukraine people think is the right thing that they need. They will have in me a loyal support, and I would do nothing that cuts across that position.
We've been listening carefully. You've thought about this job, becoming Prime Minister, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying to us today very clearly, and as you say, many people think it's completely legitimate, that there are a lot of things that you might need time to work out. There are a lot of things that you're not quite sure of yet. You want to think about. You use the phrase fresh eyes. You're asking for time. You might not have time because you've taken over mid-term.
I don't know if I am asking for time because I've come in and, well, you know, I've been...
Yeah, I'm not asking for time. I'm just not answering your fucking question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just stalling. That's you know, the tactic.
Pretty active, right? This week I've been doing things, making...
I'm not sure TikTok counts. That's not in the official description of the role of Prime Minister. Has Ed Davey asked him to one-on-one at FIFA yet? Because that's when you know the Prime Minister shit got serious.
True.
Moves, they're not the be-all and end-all, but they're signs of where I want to go.
Immigration and
Council
defence and social care, you have said you need time, and it may be perfectly legitimate, but...
Well, no, because let me just come back to you. I mean, social care was on a longer path. I brought it straight forward. I mean, I've done the opposite, actually, on social care. Immigration, I'll take a quick decision on the issues, but there's been a consultation, so I'm just inheriting where we are on that issue. On early release, I've paused it, but it's only a brief pause, so I can make sure that I'm doing everything possible to maximise public safety. So no, to be honest with you, I've hit the ground running, and I've come into this job with real clarity about what I'm.
Is he hit the ground running in those terrible shorts?
And also, like, when you say clarity, Andy, okay, sure, you've done a handful of policies. You've kind of blitzed some week one policies to generate at least some kind of good, some good vibes with the public, you know. That doesn't encompass all your roles as a Prime Minister. And you say you wanted to be clear with the public, but you spent this entire interview prevaricating and saying nothing.
Yeah. Well, no, when he said he's brought clarity to the issue, he means he's drunk lots of red wine.
True.
Thank you.
But you say you coming to power will be the biggest change this country's seen in 4 decades. Thing is, 25,000 people voted for you in Makerfield. The 48 million people in the electorate in this country haven't had a chance to have a say on any of your...
Yeah, that's true. Did you ask that question of Boris Johnson? Did you? Did you pre-tell Boris Johnson that you were going to ask him that question and then ask him that question, Laura? No, you didn't. Interestingly, I wonder who bought him those glasses. I wonder if maybe a member of the House of Lords, possibly. Who knows? I can't wait to see what his freebies are going to be. Because, like, at least he, the previous incumbent of number 10 Downing Street, we won't mention his name, at least he supported a good team, so it was worth getting tickets. Whereas Everton are shit. Yeah, that's right. I'm coming for you, Toffees.
Plans. Do you rule out having a general election before 2029?
There is no early general election. And the thing I would say to you is 20 plus, how many million people you just mentioned, voted for a manifesto. We're in a parliamentary democracy. So that is what people voted for. And I've said to you earlier in this interview that I will honour that manifesto. And, you know, obviously I have faced the public in Makerfield. At the time I stood forward in the by-election, people would say, oh my goodness, that constituency voted reform in May, that's a risk. I went and faced the public and I went out onto those doorsteps. So, you know, I have done that. I've got the support of colleagues in Parliament, and it's a parliamentary democracy that we're in.
Rule it out?
Well, I'm going to rule it out. Yeah, there's no early general election. I don't think people want it. You know,
I know, I sort of get where he's coming from with this. Obviously, he's had a bounce in the polls, and Labour are leading in some of the polls for the first time in, well, basically since the election, pretty much. So there's like a temptation to go with it, but realistically, I think he has to establish himself. Because he's not actually, like, you got to remember, he hasn't been a frontline national politician for a while. He's not actually that well known. I bet if you showed people a picture of Andy Burnham, most ordinary people do not know who he is.
Well, they wouldn't have done like a week ago, yeah.
Yeah, like he's not a well-known figure. His political chops previously, which I think are terrible because of PFI and Iraq and stuff, people don't even remember that. So long ago was it. So, yeah, he has to sort of do something to be able to then go to the electorate in 2029 and say, look, I did some stuff, and be judged on that basis.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. I mean, it's shit and undemocratic, of course, but, like, all of it is. We have an upper chamber unelected
system, right? Like,
we have a head of state who's unelected. The Prime Minister is always unelected, regardless, because the executive sits at the fucking behest of the legislature. So, like, I understand there is an informal legitimacy to being elected, everyone knowing the previous election. If you vote for Conservatives, you're voting for Rishi Sunak to be Prime Minister, and if you're voting Labour, you're voting for Keir Starmer to be Prime Minister. Everyone knows that, but it is informal. There's no official also, like election of a Prime Minister. We don't have a presidential system.
Yeah, and you're voting for them to be Prime Minister after the election, not to be Prime Minister for the whole of the next 5 years, right? Like, there is an assumption that you're going to vote for them and they will be Prime Minister after the election happens. But again, like, there's always the understanding that can change.
And exactly, yeah, in a general election, the public then cedes control of that process to their parliamentarians for a set amount of time, 5 years, or just over, technically, at the latest. And then that process is out of the direct control of the people at that point. You have ceded that power upwards temporarily on the basis that they can then control those issues and then go back to you on the basis of what they've done in that time. So, yeah, you elect them to become Prime Minister the day after the election, and then after that, it's not up to you anymore. That's just the system we live in. Shit, undemocratic, but here we are. He's not even the first. And again, like, he's not even the first, second, or third person to be in this position in the last decade.
I think if we had an elected head of state, this would not be a problem,
yeah.
Right? Because everyone would understand they were electing a legislature. Everyone would understand that that's what it was, because the Prime Minister is only there essentially as the Speaker of Parliament,
yeah.
Right? In a system where they're not being the one actively directing the government policy, which is coming from an elected president, right? Unless there's some kind of cohabitation, like in France or whatever. Like, yeah, no, they would just be the director of parliament rather than the person who everyone looks at in terms of the direction of the country. Everyone knows that the direction of the country is set by Emmanuel Macron, but Sébastien Lecornu is the one who's actually being the person in charge of the actual parliament itself, and there's an understanding that there's the demarcation there. But we have a head of state that does nothing, so all power is subsumed into the Prime Minister. People get mad when they get changed, as if it's not just the representation of the will of the legislature.
Well, whereas in Britain, of course, we have the Prime Minister who nominally sets government policy, but actually the unelected head of state, Benjamin Netanyahu, gets to actually set it.
Mm-hmm.
The opinion polls might say there's some people do, some people don't. But the thing is, I just think what I most need to do is get Britain focused on getting the country back where it should be, getting it working. And I do want to be serious about this point. I am trying to build a new politics, more collaborative than it's been before. And I think that at the end of the day is what's in the country's best interest right now, us working differently as politicians across divide. I'm sitting here almost a week in. I'm really pleased with the start that's been made, but I know there's so much more to do. But I don't think we get there by going back into another sort of divisive process. Let's all face forward together and get this.
Okay, but you're starting to sound like that one twat who's in the audience of every question time who's like, why can't they all just agree on everything and get along? Well, why have different political parties if everyone just agreed, you cunt? Shut up and sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's the Prime Minister. That person's the Prime Minister now. Yay.
Country working again.
Prime Minister, thank you very much indeed for your time today.
Anything else on the roster? I've got fuck all else.
No, that was the thing on the docket. You've been going 2.5 hours. I think that's look, you peasants have had enough of our fucking time as it is. Okay? Be grateful that we did anything for you fucking scum.
To be fair, we didn't stream yesterday when we said we would do so. I apologise to chat for on Saturday saying I'll be live tomorrow and was not.
No,
live.
Don't apologise to these people.
They pay my bills, Kevin. I need to make sure they keep doing so.
No, they're lower than us. We are the streamer master race, and these are the chat Untermensch. Okay, that's the order. Anyway, I wonder why people don't like me.
Partner push 2026.
True.
I'm going to send people to a difficult truth over on the YouTubes.
Yeah. Oh, God, oh, Jesus Christ, yeah. Actually, no, I won't say. I don't want to ruin your fucking stream. But I got even more degenerate on stream the other day with an Anne Widdecombe-based joke, but I won't go with that.
No.
Yeah, I think it was inside terms of service, but just about. Fuck me. Okay, who's going on Twitch? I can send everyone over to. Why is it not telling me things? The Surfs are going, so I'm going to send you over to the Surfs. Oh, thank you to Antifa Vegan Boy with 10 gifties at the death there. Much love to you, my friend. I will commit crimes in your name if you want me to. You might not want me to. I don't know. It's up to you. Hang on. Fucking hell.
Everyone go follow Kevin. Do that. Kevin Logan on all the platforms.
Everyone go and follow No Justice MTG. She is Navarra's best and brightest.
It's true. I'm an up and comer. One to watch.
What exactly? One to watch. One of the Power 30 under 30 or whatever.
Even though I'm 35 in half an hour.
Oh, is it your birthday tomorrow? Happy birthday!
It is my birthday tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Everyone wish No Justice happy birthday because she is
with
awesome.
Money.
with money, but also with nice words, but mostly money.
That's true. Attach nice words to your birthday super chat.
True. Thank you all for listening and watching. Free Palestine and that.
Free Palestine from the river to the sea. We'll see you all tomorrow. Probably do an afternoon stream, and then I'm off for a lovely dinner with my parents in the evening.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Campaign for